It's time for our losers matches. We had our winners earlier, and after a pretty short hour-long break, we're back here again with two more best of fives. I am Wolf. With me is Papa Smithy. And you know where there are winners, there always must be losers. No one's going to be eliminated directly in these matches, down to their last life in that loser bracket, if you will.
And I feel warmed up. I'm ready to cast some more Overwatch. None of these teams will be eliminated today. It kind of feels like that, as often the losers bracket is single chance, but with those 6 teams, you know, there being less foreign slots this time, there is that second chance even in the losers bracket. So what felt like double elimination, actually kind of triple elimination for these guys.
Yeah, it's basically triple elimination. We saw a lot of experimentation throughout this tournament. Twilight, most notably on the Sombra, making it work on Hanamura specifically, also on Hollywood. Oasis yesterday.
He just kind of made it work, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of, when we watched it yesterday, it was kind of the feeling of, is this experimental? Are we going to see this in the future? They were massively favored in that matchup. Is it going to work against a good team? It turned out to be yes. We haven't seen any other teams repeat this yet. We haven't seen too much, experimenting beyond that in terms of new hero picks. No Orisa yet.
Nope.
And
no Symmetra even.
Yeah, no Symmetra. And
Torbjorn.
Yeah, very few Torbjorns attempted. Not the strongest defenses we've seen with it. But really interesting as well, as we mentioned earlier, if you watched our previous broadcast from just an hour ago, we're on the live patch with the Lucio changes. And Lucio so far doesn't feel critically different. You know, he's definitely obviously a different hero, but he's served the same roles. We're not seeing teams cut him out yet. He just feels a little bit less effective.
It kind of makes me really wish that we had the minimap going, because I'd love to see his sphere of influence, where the Lucio is standing. Obviously, you pick it up incidentally with so much action on the screen. It feels like old Lucio, even though we've seen some of the toggling of vision and seeing Lucio's AoE, obviously knowing it's smaller. It doesn't really feel like we know, is Lucio in the front line? Is Lucio in the back line? Obviously, it changes through the ebb and flow of team fights, but we're still getting our bearings with the new Lucio.
The one thing that's remained consistent, no matter which way you look at it, is he's still an absolutely necessary hero in the competitive comps. Positioning aside, he's not replaced with anything else. We're not seeing any other healers come in instead. We have seen rotations of other heroes, especially the Zenyatta and the Ana, and you could call Twilight Sombra halfway a support with how much healing he was giving with the hacked health packs, but Lucio's still fully required. We're going to break down the format for you guys again if you missed the earlier broadcast. Our Apex teams are on the top, and of course challengers on the bottom there. 4 from each. We are looking at our losers matches this evening. And in Group B, obviously Infinity and Space against each other here because they did both fall. They got placed in the same group because one was in Challenger, one was in Apex. Bad luck of the draw, essentially, here for these teams. We talked about how it's double elimination, but if you look at how this bracket finally works out, it's going to be 6 teams going through.
The winners bracket is done. It's kind of where we're at. We're all in the extended double elimination losers bracket. We have 6 teams left, of which 4 of them will advance. 2 of them will not. So in these 2 matches, we will not have Apex entrants, but we'll get a step closer on both sides. We show you our incredibly hard to understand graphic about what's going on. X6 Gaming, confirmed from Group A.
That's right, X6 gets through. We saw them win a very close best of 5 there. The winner of Flash Lux and Afrika Freaks Red will face off against Mighty AOD. And there'll be another chance after that as well. It's not shown in the graphic, but this is how our double elimination works. And when you take a look at Group B in just a moment, you'll see how that group has panned out. Spoiler alert, Kalmuk's Spirit did advance over Rhino's Gaming Wings. So the winner of the MVP sister teams will face off against the Wings in that final match, which will take place on Thursday, tomorrow at 2 p.m.
The MVP All-Kill is one to look forward to, but that will be our second match of the night. I think all esports fans can relate to team battles, especially if you follow Korean esports, and how that can be that extra level of drama and intrigue. Our first match when we get to will be Flash Lux versus Afrika Freaks Red. The Afrika Red squad was debuting 2 new members. Looked better, but then again was hard to look worse than a team that didn't pick up any maps in Apex.
As mentioned, these are the Lucio patch notes. To just go through them a little bit, you can see the 25% increase to his damage, the attack projectile speed 40 to 50 increased, but the healing radius is reduced significantly. It's down to 1/3 as it was before, 10 meters down from 30, but the healing in that area is increased by 30%, and of course, if movement speed is increased on walls after a short jump, he'll get that 20% boost.
Small little point as well, the self-healing has actually gone down, so the healing on Lucio when he amps it up is less than the AoE, so just another thing where it's like, okay, Lucio's probably going to be in the front line doing a lot of his dirty work. It's 200 HP hero, now doesn't even get the same self-heal, so Zarya bubbles, other defensive measures probably needed unless Lucio's popping off on the walls.
Definitely true, and not to mention the fact that Lucio himself will just need to be really aware, despite being more aggressive, of which attacks are coming his way. Where's the Roadhog? As a bubble won't necessarily save him in some of these scenarios.
Lucio positioning was so forgiving before, honestly, it felt like line of sight, basically, for your benefit, so you could afford to be pretty creative, ultra defensive, and feels like that option is now out the window.
Yeah, things like wall riding the pillar on Anubis, for example, to buy time while also providing that healing to desperately try to tick that overtime down. Moves like that no longer as effective as they were before.
And you got to choose one or the other. It feels like Lucio, honestly, it reminds me of Lucio's implementation in Heroes of the Storm a little bit in terms of how the AoEs work and stuff like that. And given how forgiving he was before, adding skill cap, I think, is not necessarily a bad thing in Overwatch.
Funny as it is in Heroes of the Storm, a lot of the popular builds for Lucio do improve his wall riding so he can get into that radius a lot. So
you got buffed in both versions then, I guess.
Well, here are our matchups. As mentioned, Flashlux will go against the Afrika Freaks Red. The battle of the fourth-place teams of each of their groups. Two Apex teams trying to maintain their spots here, as Space is coming up from Challenger again. They got knocked out, relegated last season of promotions, and Infinity with a poor performance in their group as well.
A bit of a surprising one, I think, in their game against, I believe it was Rhinos, where they came off 2-3 against Meta Athena and Envious, and then just got obliterated by Rhino Gaming that last match yesterday.
Yeah, it feels like something has changed for them, or perhaps everyone else has just gotten better around them.
And things have changed, patches have come in. There's always those intangibles. It's hard to know, but we'll visit the MVP teams a little bit later because we're opening with one of our true amateur teams in Flashlux against Afrika Freaks Red.
Here is Flashlux, and this team has always been pretty consistent. Unfortunately, that consistency usually ends up being consistently towards the bottom of Apex. They're able to avoid relegation in Season 1.
All I'm going to say is they'll take being to the bottom half of Apex, because that would mean that they've actually progressed through this particular team. They're probably one of the favorites for the drop, which is concerning if you're a Flashlux fan. And admittedly, it is a small fan base, but they're getting there. They're becoming more and more the pro gamers they strive to be. But it's a stiff opposition today. I think Afrika Freaks Red probably the strongest of the teams currently in the losers bracket, excluding the teams we saw earlier today.
We have to agree with that. This team loves its triple tank, runs it more than the double DPS, so that solo DPS is what we see most often. And usually it's Fleta who's playing the Pharah, which has actually grown in popularity a lot. We've seen it especially on Oasis. The control point map is where we see it most. We've also seen it on Lijiang Tower, as was pointed out earlier, and maps like Gibraltar, it's very strong. Eichenwald too, when we go into the later escort maps.
But then Kisu ends up being his partner in crime on the Mercy, and we haven't necessarily seen the same sort of Mercy performance that is necessary to get the most out of the Pharmacy duo. So I agree. Fleta as a single part of the equation is good, but you need the full equation to be relevant. And then we go to the most static of teams, at least in their original lineup during Apex, 98% of their time on just a single team comp of Afrika Freaks Red. They weren't necessarily known for any level of flexibility.
Yeah, they were all one-trick ponies basically in their hero pools. Super heavy reliant on Tydolla's Genji, and when you look at this team, the replacements are the question marks here, but Creed seems solid. Rio, on the other hand, a loose cannon of sorts.
But I think they need that loose cannon, Wolf, because the statistics was they had never played Reinhardt, basically, in Apex, and you talk about them having one tricks, that is literally like walking for a human being. You need to have a Reinhardt in your comp. Everyone who's played competitive has raged about this at one point or the other. They now have a Reinhardt player. I know you've kind of questioned whether he's too aggressive. They needed to plug and play someone who could play Reinhardt, so at least they're trying to build towards a 6 that can actually succeed at the pro level.
Well, we're going to start things off, of course, on Control.
Where we going?
See if that Oasis pops up yet again. Saw Lijiang earlier. It's going to be Nepal. So there's always the hope that on Sanctum we'll see Orisa, but still absent currently from this tournament. I think that will probably continue this week, despite the small buff she got to her head size being reduced in the patch notes. We didn't talk too much about that earlier.
There's the hope for Flashlux. They won a single map on the whole of their time in Apex, and it was Assault against Fnatic.
That's right.
Here's the dream. The dream is to get rolling, because Freak of Red is certainly one they're going to be eyeing up. They're expected to win today.
They certainly are. They've been having, there's been a lot of expectations for the Freaks. I feel like they're still favored here, but this is the story of the Freaks, sadly,
every esport.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the story here is the expectations have been high, but it's been disappointments over and over and over again. So much so to if anyone walks up to me and says, you know, I feel like the Freaks are really strong. They're going to have a breakout soon. I'm like, well, I've heard this too much already. You know, where's the results?
Let me tell you, man. Any esport, same story for the Freak of Freaks. Sadly, they I've left a lot to be desired. The former MIG squad needs to get rolling, needs to get results on the board.
Yeah, even some fairly weak results in StarCraft as well. This could be their time, but they're going to have to turn things around in this losers match against Flash Lux. We are going into Nepal here for game number 1.
Got it in the morning, got it in the evening. Feeling good, Wolf.
Gonna get it all night. I'm getting it when I get home. So, Flash Lux here. Again, the underdogs. Despite both players, or both teams. Wow. Let's start over.
Words are hard.
Words are hard. Despite both teams finishing 4th place in their groups, you can't really argue that Freak of Freaks didn't have the harder group. They definitely did, and they had a good run against X6 yesterday. It was definitely the stronger opponent than Flash Lux had. They won, right? So that's kind of some details we could draw here. So they should theoretically be able to take this one. This is the map that Flash Lux won, though, as you mentioned before.
And we see Rio, of course, the new import onto the Reinhardt, shoring up that particular champion pool hole. Let's talk about Flash Lux, who one of the big points that you have to note down is don't really have a Tracer player. No Tracer on either team right now, but they literally don't play Tracer outside the most edge moments, which can be very significant. And speaking of significant, the first initial salvos over to the side of Flash Lux.
Definitely. This is a really important McCree map, especially on Sanctum. There's a lot of open space to work with. Tracer has to move through a lot of narrow choke points where she can just simply get caught. There's not a lot of maneuverability for the hero, so I like the range on McCree, so I like both teams going for this. Always we see the matchup between the McCree and the Tracer, where the Tracer looks to punish the McCree, but so far, especially in this tournament, the McCree has been the higher success rate. Flash Lux will take control of the point first.
Contest comes through, but obviously expose themselves in a great way. There's good high ground play from Flash Lux. We're watching a tune this time on the McCree. Always been the big carry name that people look for when they look at the Freaks Red. Yep. He's down though. He's got taken out by Veil. It's already nano boost for Fleeta. Slept.
Yeah, unfortunately. Oh, Veil going to pick up a few though. I was going to say, unfortunately, not able to get the Graviton Surge he wanted there because of the sleep, but he survives here and will have it now.
And that's what's what happen when you take a linear approach to the map. The high ground undefended the whole time, and Veil, shooting gallery for him. Feeling good. They'll continue to occupy the high ground. There's a reason you don't go straight into contest the point, because you're going to so often be taken down, and now we see Fleta ready for a big Graviton Surge.
And only Veil having to use the Deadeye. Here's the Graviton Surge coming around this corner, trapping everybody in. He gets the kill onto Attune immediately. Eunice going to secure the kill on the Rio after that charge. Creed does get Wiso's suit, but that's all they're going to get. Now they're going to control this entry point, still with the Earth Shatter available in that choke. Such a terrifying situation here for the Freaks, as approaching will be difficult. They do give the choke away for now, but they have so much to work with on the defense. No self-destruct for Tidala either, which is one way you can actually start the engage on this map.
And honestly, if Freak of Freaks Red, it felt like the only comp they ran successfully was dive, and this isn't dive from them, which is why it's something different.
Oh, Wiso actually not having his boost there, so a nice hook here for Creed. Attune looks for the Deadeye. No connections here, but they still have so much more ults than Flash Lux, so they're going to push them off the point. Another good hook here onto Modern, and this will be the cap for the Freaks. 91%, but still, they did it with very few ults used, in fact.
Yeah, that's the most crucial factor, is coming up on 5 ultimates, only the Deadeye unavailable for them in the next stage, and we're still waiting for Fleta on the side of Flash Lux to pick up his Graviton Surge. They're going for an aggressive defense, don't have a lot of percentage to waste.
See how heavily Flashlux wants to commit, because if they take it, they just win this point. Creed's going to go ahead and drop down. Unfortunately, a very unsuccessful whole hog here. As he backs away, they're just trying to zone the Flashlux into their entry point. Unfortunately, it's not going to work. Modern moving around as he has that Earth Shatter. That's what we're watching here very closely.
You can see the defensive formations here. There goes the self-destruct. Doesn't find anything. Graviton Surge is up. It's used.
Okay, Modern is going to come up here, look for the charge. Does get the kill onto a Toon, and 2 picks here with the charge on the Rio. Everyone's pushed away. Rio being charged in means no shield. Aviso just locks them up with that big explosion there, the self-destruct. I don't think anyone from the Freaks can get onto this point. They're just respawning, so this will be the cap here for Flashlux on our first point.
It did really feel like inevitability, as actually Na'Vi did sneak onto the point and start the processes.
Oh, Modern with
booped off, I think. Yeah, it was booped by Quartermain. Nicely done there. Flashlux down 2.
It's actually really shocking they were able to turn this around just with that 1 overtime boost here. Atune doing a ton of damage from the edge. Rio has the Earth Shatter. They could absolutely turn this around.
Waiting to see, just watching Rio with shield up. Waiting for reinforcements on both sides, hiding in the defensive position here. Na'Vi dies. Watching Fleeta in the front line. That is actually the Earth Shatter used, but to no real gain by Rio.
Flashlux is going to get the recap here if this doesn't change. Trying to get the boop off of the Fleta. He fails, unfortunately, and this should finally be the cap. Who's on it? Okay, nobody's on it. I was like, it's not going. The overtime will took down. Is anyone going to get on it this time?
Boostio.
Not going to happen.
The Boostio not ending up being in any way consequential, and Flashlux, it just felt like a Freaker Red made a very inevitable game. When we saw them have the standoff off the point, Reinhardt shields up, I watched basically the Zarya charge meter go up and up, the ult charge go up and up, the ult came through, nice charge, and it was kind of academic from there, so it didn't feel like they really had the heads-up matchup. They first pushed up. I like that the Freaker Freaks Red pushed up when they knew Graviton Surge was down, but then they didn't really have an idea when they couldn't hold the most advanced choke and kind of played into the game plan of Flashlux.
That they did. I have to give big credit to Creed's hooks, though. He was able to get several kills there, on Sanctum, free of contention without using ults. And then the Freaks had an opportunity to push in with ults. And even though they did retake after that, there was so much time for Flashlux to work with, and they also had their own ults.
I've got good news. Freaker Freaks Red, they found a dive comp. They're back to it, so at least some comfort there. They didn't look so comfortable on the Reinhardt battle.
Yeah, we're going to actually see Vale stick with the McCree instead of a switch to the Pharah, so it's just going to be a tune on that Pharah. He's very mechanically good at it, as we saw yesterday with Na'Vi as the pocket healer.
It's fun to see the battle between a McCree and Genji, which can shape these fights. So just a lot of poking around.
Fleta doing a lot of harass damage here, nearly getting the pick onto Winston. Vale actually does back off here, does help get the kill.
Double fire strike kill actually from Modern, so he's going to have a lot of charge. Working towards his first Earth Shatter. First claim might actually be Flashlux's.
Na'Vi does have the res, but there's no reason to contest here. They might as well set up for a guaranteed take, as Na'Vi is actually going to float down to his death. Fleta not letting up on this aggression.
Kind of the surprise to me is that I feel like a Freaker Freaks Red, they can play the dive comp. I think in general their setups around it are quite good, especially for the level of competition they're going to face in challenges, but no Zenyatta I think is really hurting them compared to other dive comps. Making the Mercy Genji work is so situational compared to painting the targets like we've seen Jaehong do time and time again. So they do have that Mercy, they do have a potential approach, but for now, frustrated trying to make it and pull it off.
Absolutely. I think the wait here is going to be for Dala's Nano Blade, or sorry, I should just say Dragon Blade. He does not have the Nano Boost. As Atune's just going to go ahead and drop down the barrage here.
Gets any damage.
2. And is this going to be enough here? They do have the Dragon Blade to try to finish things off. Will they be able to find that window? Dala's going to get 2 kills without it, which is really important because he doesn't have to use that now. The res also still available, so very efficient, really only using that Rocket Barrage to take this point back.
Yeah, no person to shut down Atune. Vale wasn't in position to try to get a couple of headshots. Thus this time, Pharmacy Duo is working out. Finding an approach here is not going to be trivial for Flashlux. The Deadeye and Nano Boost, maybe Electric Cowboy action coming out soon.
We'll be ready for that at any moment. Here we go. Not going to be boosted, but really good coverage using the pillars and just backing off here. Winston using the bubble to avoid that. Does get hit, but not killed.
You can hear the Dragon Blade coming through now. Change over to perspective. Already down pretty low and no value whatsoever just yet. So it just ends up being a zoning Dragon Blade of sorts.
Yeah, only 2 kills here. A lot of attention brought to him, as you said, with the zoning. Zatoon does another barrage to only kill Kisu. The res comes up here as the Freaker Freaks really wants to hold on to this one. And it looks like they just narrowly will as the Flash Lux players set up for another push. Weeso does have that the surge here, Graviton Surge.
I think it's the right time to use the res because, as you mentioned, you just wait for res and then Graviton Surge laps up the respawns and you end up getting a lot of charge on the back end of your AoE. So using it for like sustain almost to keep 6 up is more valuable, I think, given the context of the game, and they haven't seen a Graviton Surge from Weeso, than looking for the big fight turner.
Would have to agree with that. For Flash Lux especially, there isn't much of a follow-up. They do have the potential Pulse Bomb combo for the Big Bang, but that is it. The Earth Shatter could be another tool to use here on approach, but the Freaker Freaks Red are actually looking to tie this one up. They'll have a lot of defensive ults, in fact, to use really only that Primal Rage here, as Weeso's looking for an angle now.
Just wants to keep the Zarya out of the fight. That's his first incentive, and there finally is the Zarya ultimate.
Okay, here comes the bang they were looking for. They get the one onto Quartermain. Dala goes down before the Dragon Blade. No res available here for Navi. He's going to be up for it close. But those Cigar here, they're going to have to set up for another push. They will have that, though, and the Dragon Blade for their next attack, as well as the Rocket Barrage. Fleta looking to harass and slow down any advances here.
And crucially, no charge on the Zarya. So it could actually be the true fight turner with the Mercy Res if we see Navi not die in the initial trading.
That's the really important thing here, right? Atune is going to lead the charge right now. They know he has that big Rocket Barrage. They're looking for a defensive setup here. Over the edge, here's the Nano Blade coming down onto Dala. Immediately, Atune gets a pick onto Vale. It's going to be a double with Creed taking the kill onto Kisu. Where's the res? There it is. And this is actually going to be a 6v2 situation now for the Freaks, as it's a full res on everybody left. And I think they're just simply going to retake. The time ticks down here. It looks like we're going to a 3rd point. We're going to see the attempt here
at
from
least
Fleta.
Force the overtime, but you're right. They don't look like they're in a great position to contest. Looking for anyone else to make it onto the point, not to be. And right down here in the losers bracket, things are pretty damn close.
That they are. So 1-1 on Nepal as we go into Village. Tied up, 1 apiece. We've seen a lot of Pharah on Village as well, so I imagine that's going to stay the same. The question is, will Vale switch off the McCree? I doubt it, because I feel like that was the better map for the Pharah. Going into Village, McCree has a lot more space to work with.
I mean, you think of Village, you start thinking of strategies gone by. I, for one, missed the Bastion that was so common on Village once upon a time.
Still common in my solo queue games. RIP.
On attack, on every map, it's true. I don't know if we're going to see anything too shenanigans here. Is a Freaker Freaks Red. Why not go back to the dive comp, the Pharmacy? It worked out well for you. It does suit this map to some degree.
So they're going to put Fleta back on the Pharah, and Vale will stay on the Tracer instead of the McCree.
And now we get Pharmacy battles, so we'll see who comes out. I mean, Fleta does have the reputation over Atune in that particular regard.
Yeah, Atune definitely much more known for his Soldier, Tracer, and McCree.
And look at that.
There he goes, gets picked off right away. The story holds true here as Fleta looks for another pick onto Rio. Will get it with the help of Weeso. And already a big lead here for Flash Lux. Vale gets the kill into Navi as well. It's going to really hurt the charge going for a res. So significant ult lead and the first cap.
They can drop down and go back to contesting the high grounds. They kind of get everything in this first salvo. Do a Flash Lux, and nice when you pick someone up and they come through on a hero that well known for.
Definitely true, and with Pharah becoming more and more common in the meta, not just on the PS4 version, man, it's pretty good.
I hear Torbjorn's the PS4.
Yeah, Torbjorn and Pharah, man, they're all about the console heroes, but here on competitive, obviously, it's really important on these open maps, and Atune is the one who actually wins the battle this time.
Sam Kisu was very close to actually having the res, but watching Atune in that battle against his opposite number, Fleta, it seems like mostly Atune winning this time.
Could be very aggressive because they do have the res as long as Navi doesn't die here. Atune's barely staying alive. Navi really on point with the heals. Unfortunately, though, they're not able to get the take. We do see a self-destruct attempt. Looks like that barrier not enough to save Quartermain, so Weeso will get the kill.
Kisu back with the res as well. First res comes through from Navi, gets Quartermain back up.
This is going to be a very expensive take if they get it at all. Self-destruct coming in here to push the Winston off the point. Looks like they will get the cap, but it costs them everything to do so. Even a sound barrier at the end, perhaps unnecessary here, as there's just no reason for it. They got the cap. It was just very expensive. If you look at the flash ults, you know, yeah, flash
and results-orientated isn't what you can do during the course of an assault map like this. You have to really look at the resource invested, like you mentioned, Wolf, and eyes are drawn naturally to the 4 ultimates available for Flashlux on their next approach. Now, it doesn't always mean 1 + 1 = 2. You can certainly mismanage your cooldowns, but Flashlux have a pretty large arsenal to try and attack.
Yeah, they have more ammunition to use for this follow-up attack. They're missing the self-destruct, but that's about it. As Vale's looking for a pick here. Cap actually starting already here. Almost a peaceful cap.
First, unfortunately, once again, we talked about his Mercy play. Looked good at the start. Looks second best at this point. No real pressure coming onto Attune, so it feels like Flashlux once again have to restart. And if you look at the control meter, all that investment, the ult's coming back, and now we've kind of reached parity.
Oh, it's pretty much directly 50-50 here, even in the control meter now tied up at 59.
Only one to point to is, you know, Whole Hog versus the sound barrier, probably a slight edge to sound barrier in that particular case, but it all comes situational.
It's almost like a game of chicken with these rocket barrages as well. They want to kill the blockers first. Oh, or you can just kill the Pharah right in the face.
He dies second as well. No res to come through. Flashlux, if they even have a chance at this point, it's going to be an overtime, you'd have to think.
Yeah, I think so. All that capture meter goes back to nil here. And there's just so many ways, so many tools that the Freaks have. Dala's going to have his self-destruct to hold on to this for the last moment. Might even want to save it to try to use it for the res that comes out when Flashlux is forced to do a desperate Hail Mary attempt to attack, as the defensive setup here is in favor of the Freaks.
Well, Flashlux have the 6 ults as well. Let's see if their approach can be there, because having one person die means everything when 6 ultimates are available. Specifically, Kisu needs to stay alive.
Okay, Creed dies immediately, used his Whole Hog right beforehand. Flashlux are on the point. Dala still has that self-destruct he can use to try to buy time. As you see, the sound barrier goes down here for Flashlux as well. They will get the retake. It looks like the Freaks not willing to commit more resources here for this because they have some extra time.
No reason to. And of course, if you ever cap it again, you basically get the game. 2 different reses to respect. Rika Freaks have used theirs. Navi dies as well.
May even want to switch off at this point. I suppose he could come over for the heals here, but he's never going to get a res in the next remainder part of this game with only about 20% left. He is going to stick with the Mercy.
Overtime could be a while with this Resurrection and most of the other support ults probably to come back up by then. Quartermain will have the sound barrier very shortly.
Feels like a risk, but it's a risk they're going to take. Quartermain, as you mentioned, now with that ult. But they're looking for an opportunity here. Already we just see popped Rio on that Primal Rage, and there's the critical kill on Attune. Can he get Nava before the res? Looks like he will. Navi only at 70%, couldn't do anything there, but still it's a pretty even trade. Okay, here's the res coming in. That's why
6v3.
The res is so important. It makes it a 6v3, and that will actually win the game here for Flashlux, as they will get the cap here. Or do they? Yeah, they did. Okay.
They definitely did.
I was misreading that graphic there at the top. I was like, everyone's dead. How did they not get it?
But yeah. Kisu actually finally in great position. We were waiting for Fleeta to pop off on the Pharah, and the double mid-airs were really nice from him. Kisu there to mop it up. 6v3, no way to get back in, and Flashlux finally stick the landing on Assault.
That they do. The pick there onto Attune, amazing. Navi couldn't res him immediately because he didn't have enough energy from that pick earlier. He stuck with the Mercy anyways, but it just didn't end up mattering at the end of the day. Had he just lived a little bit longer, he would have that res and it would have been a much more even fight. But if trades are even, and then you get the 3 back, you get the 6v2 as mentioned, and the game swings in your favor.
No Zaryas to try and mop up the respawning members either, so Academic, that's where the math actually checks out. 6 greater than 3 in our first Assault maps. Another Assault win there for Flashlux.
Okay, so where are we going is the question here for Hybrid. We've seen Nambani and Hollywood today. It was dominated by Kings Row yesterday, a map that the Freaks are very familiar with. It is their map choice. It's not in the pool today. They're going to take us back to Hollywood.
Been our staple so far. The action today feels like it's all about Hollywood and Dorado on day 2 of this Apex Super Week.
Okay, well, obviously this is not a map that's out of the norm, whereas a map like Numbani or Gibraltar is much less common. This is a very meta map. Still haven't seen any of that Torbjorn shenanigery, and since both of these teams play pretty standard in terms of how they defend.
Oh, we know how Afrika Freaks Red are going to attack as well.
Yeah, we know how they're going to attack and defend. I know all their favorite colors. I know their favorite hero skins.
Is it red?
Yes.
Why are they wearing blue then?
Well, I think that's sponsorship, requirements. That's what I'd have to guess, but I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out if they can tie things up, though, after that close encounter with the Flash Lux in game number 1, or Flash Lux is going to go to match point here on Hollywood. Here we are, Hollywood Boulevard.
You said that exact same intro the last time we had Hollywood.
I was just gonna hope no one noticed. I didn't know what else to say.
Hey, don't walk.
It's always in the front of my head. Does that ever tell people to walk? I don't think it does. So basically
if you get a 6-man wipe, it should go green.
Every single spawn.
To be fair, if you
go
to
OVERWATCH heroes are just a bunch of jaywalkers.
It seems like that's the case. Maybe we need better law enforcement in Hollywood Boulevard. But I would like a little Easter egg. If you ever get a 6-man clean wipe, it goes green because you never see it. Because why are you fighting next to the first entrance for the attacking team?
Yeah, we'll never see it in pro games, anyways. Nope. From personal experience, I know this is possible theoretically. So, as mentioned, is it any surprise we're going to see Idala on the Genji, Navi, and Attune with a duo in the air? We could have seen it on the McCree high ground defense.
I mean, it could have been a Tracer and No Mercy. Like, that could have happened, but...
Yeah. Possibly the McCree will be what he goes for on the defense, but on attack here, this is pretty much everything you expected. Yeah, we knew Rio was going to switch over to the Winston. And Flash Lux is going to respond with a very normal defensive comp. Vale, the onus is going to be on him to harass the back line.
Because there's no Soldier. Usually Soldier is taken irrespective of overall team comp on defense due to the high ground advantage, but only really Tracer when it comes to ranged harass.
Yeah, and Vale is going to have to make that work. Anyway, it's still another standard way to approach this map, but it's very high risk.
And definitely not very suited to dealing with this hero we're seeing right now. It should be the Pharah basically completely unanswered, apart from Diva launching into the air. First kill coming through.
Ooh, nice knockoff here from Attune as well, knocking everybody for Flash Lux back onto the low ground to make this attack a lot easier. Vale building up nearly that pulse bomb now. But we may see a switch if he dies here. Not going to have much room to work with, though.
The capture should be pretty academic for Afrika Freaks Red. Just compositionally, no answer to the aerial threat and the dive, which probably shouldn't be able to see him coming. Sure, you're a little bit surprised by the Pharah being the selection on the side of Attune, who's more known for the Tracer or the McCree himself, but they put the slightest of variation. I guess when you have 98% any sort of variation is a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a shock in terms of composition, but for this map, it definitely is less common. And they got countered kind of blindly, and there's no way to just switch once you see it. There's no way to scout that early either.
But even just talking about Afrika Freaks Red surprising people with their exact hero picks is a new thing for the team. So it is development from a squad that's plugged in 2 new members.
They have a lot of ults to work with for this initial shove as well. We see the res coming out super early here just to make sure everyone's up. Quartermine's about to have that Sound Barrier Creed, of course, with the self-destruct.
Still haven't changed to any real ways to respect the Pharah. Attune continues to free hit.
Oh, this could be an opportunity right here.
Barrage available for a while, for now held on to.
Okay, we're going to see the Sound Barrier dropped here. Flooded does have the Nano. Going to drop down at that Graviton Surge, hitting everybody. It's a slaughter.
Well, now that was one way to get the wipe. Finally, the Pharah grouped everyone sucked into the Graviton Surge. First, nice clean clear. The side of Flash Lux.
Out of Tidal there, a little bit frustrated on the Genji. No value from the Dragon Blade.
Barrage never used throughout the course of that first load of action, so we could still see big missile barrage.
Okay, looking for that opportunity. It's always going to be whether or not he can get on the backside of Modern. He had one opportunity, but he didn't pull the trigger earlier. We see the Earthshatter coming down. He may just have to use this defensively. It's very difficult to pull off, though. Flooded gets the first kill onto Creed, however, and this is still going to be a solid opportunity. Does get nearly one kill before going down. Just barely the survival there as Dala nearly with that Dragon Blade. Here comes the res attempt. Will she actually do it for one? She dies before she can. Navi actually getting picked off several times. I wouldn't say off of positional mistakes, but more so because Flashlux is so ready to punish the reliance on the Mercy here.
Feels like a Freak of Freaks Red have kind of overthought some of their approaches on the Streets phase when it comes to actually being able to combine their members. Narrow Corridor, specifically the massive Graviton from Fleeta, has halted their momentum. So Idola very close to the Dragon Blade.
He doesn't have it yet. Now he's got it after this dash. We'll see if they decide to use it. Navi dies, though, to the Pulse Bomb, the double kill here, so no res. And it may just be time to switch off the Mercy now because they want to stick with it one more time, even after the Attune swap here, just for the res alone. And yeah, not even going to save it for one more. Going to switch immediately into the Ana so they can get that Nano Blade pairing together. And this, what we see right here from a Freak of Freaks Red, is as standard and typical as it gets for their composition.
But it must be frustrating for a Freak of Freaks Red to be the team that had to change to McCree, given that there was no actual compositional answer neatly selected. Still, they got no value from the Pharah. Now they're kind of fighting on equal footing with the Toon, trying to deal with the Tracer with the quick flick headshot. Trying to make some push, because they haven't been able to push in the past 2 minutes. We're down to 2 minutes when it comes to time bank for Freak of Freaks Red. Making slow, incremental moves, but no more.
Nice hook here. Not going to be able to secure the kill. Unfortunately, Dala's just going to go ahead and pop this Dragon Blade, struggling to get the kill onto Fleta, but they'll eventually get it and get a second done there with Rio onto Viso. It's a 2-for-2 trade, though.
Means that the cart will continue to move forward. Split spawn also for Modern. Speaking of,
Dala gets that late kill. Attune going to go for the Deadeye here. A very open space. Everyone reacts immediately. Ooh, missed opportunity there. Really wanted to try to force high-value kills. Didn't happen. Could have perhaps popped the one. Going to get the kill onto Eunice regardless, just with a left kick.
It's completely out of position. And let's see if Fleta can be the one to once again wrestle momentum back for Flash. It's been a pretty heroic Streets defense for them, all things considered. Right now, nothing really to combo it with. Yeah, got to say that the Deadeye did buy them a bit of push, so even if it was no kills, it was still doing the AoE zoning it's known for. But watching Fleta, he's the one with the go button for Flashlux.
Yeah, don't forget, Vale has that pulse bomb now. He just built it up, so he's going to look to try to pair this. He's around the backside right now, really well positioned, looking for that opening. I think the Freak of Freaks Red should probably just back off and set up for another push here. This feels too risky. Even with the pick onto Vale, they don't like committing too much here. They don't have very many tools to work with. They're going to have Deadeye soon.
Creed does actually kill Eunice as he tries to group with the team from spawn. So they are continuing to push forward. Finally, we do hear.
There's that Vale going in for the combos I was talking about. Gets the double here. Despite Creed getting that pick, they're going to be halted. And this is the push I was worried about for the Freak of Freaks Red. I don't think they should have committed here. Still, even so, they do get a few more kills than I expected there off camera.
It was really hard to work
this
out.
is important. They get that headshot. That should actually secure them to checkpoint.
It's really hard to follow the pulse bomb, but there were kills on both sides of the battlefield. Burning down the Roadhog didn't actually matter. Even though Fleeta did Graviton surge into 50% ult charge, the push was still registered on the side of a Freak of Freaks Red, but they only have a minute and a half to try and actually finish Hollywood.
Yeah, just looking in terms of what ults remain, we're really even on both sides here. As Flashlux just wants to slow this push down.
It only takes one Earth Shatter, as we learned in our first series tonight.
Yeah, Rio doesn't have his. That's one angle they could take here. They can use the sound barrier to get him into position to force it.
It's Modern looking for one.
Yeah, he's looking for that right now here. Good positioning from Rio. Drops the shield for a second, trying to bait it. Not going to happen. Blocked is the Deadeye. Okay, here's the sound barrier. Will they try to force it here? Vale gets the pick on Creed immediately with that sound barrier to protect him. Doesn't drop his pulse bomb yet. Modern actually not getting the best Earth Shatter. It's blocked as well.
Still 6v5 on defense. Watching Fleta already back up to 100%. This ult, Graviton Surge, can be so crucial, even in terms of stalling, when there's only 40 seconds left.
Probably going to look to drop it right on this pillar or on the payload itself. Stop the next push. Dala has the ability to use this self-destruct for the starting engage. Here it comes. Everyone's going to have to back off for a second. Good shield here by Modern. But there's the Graviton follow-up I was talking about.
Watch for the big bang.
Here we go. Down it goes. Does not go off.
Doesn't really lead to anything. We see the nano boost onto McCree. This battle McCree action from Attune.
Okay, the mech goes down here. We see the Earth Shatter is blocked. Once again, a great block here by Modern. So Rio's attack completely wasted here as Attune is really the only thing they've got left for this last disc push. 5 seconds to go. He's going to need to pop this Deadeye. There it is. Nothing, no targets available. They're going to have to just push this on overtime.
They're even losing members as he's channeling. No sort of AoE congestion done by McCree. Dies on the back end. This is going to be a defense for Flash Lux. No completion for a Freak of Freaks Red.
43.25 to go. It's unfortunate when you're stuck in that situation as the McCree with nothing to pair, no way to get a good angle. And as it turns out, it kind of is, I think you were alluding to, when you just hold the Deadeye like that, you're just wasted DPS. As you literally do nothing, you might as well be dead. By the time he's done with it, he's the last man standing on the graveyard of his teammates.
And it did feel a little bit like a loser's match as both teams' Earth Shatters missed. And the defenders have the advantage when those AoE abilities get no kind of purchase. There's a reason why, you know, 2-point capture, especially at lower levels, much harder to complete the maps. And in this particular case, just felt like a Freak of Freaks Red kind of ran out of ideas and had to make kind of an emergency engage to try and push the payload forward.
That's exactly what happened. And they tried to make their Mercy comp work for longer than I feel it should have. They never got the value of the res. Na'Vi never stayed alive, and that's an issue when you have a Mercy that you're so reliant on. If she gets picked off, if you die with 2 reses, that's when you switch the on and you're like, why was I even playing Mercy? You know, obviously the pairing there with Afara is good, but to have 2 full wasted reses feels bad now. As we go into Flash Lux, a composition they're going to, it looks like, not really be running the Genji, having Veil on the Tracer this time instead.
Really anticipating any aerial hijinks. Our Freak of Freaks Red either. No Soldier, interestingly, on either side is always a surprise.
Yeah.
You know, look through the players here. Veil's most played, actually, as a competitive player is Soldier 76. Obviously been a pretty big staple for anyone who's been playing in Apex in Season 1 and Season 2, but seeing none of it on Hollywood is a surprise to me.
Yeah, it seems the rise of McCree is pretty big right now in this promotions tournament. McCree is his 3rd most played, significantly behind even the Tracer, obviously. And we'll see if he can make this work. On the attack, it's always tough with the McCree to fire upwards at a defensive setup. He's going to look to get onto the high ground here, very likely with Modern leading the charge. Rio, again, the inconsistent Reinhardt. We'll see if he can make a better Earth Shatter happen here than he did on attack.
Just mirror comps between the two, so no unique heroes on either side. Watching to see which angle Flash Lux want to take. For now, it's just Modern poking around on the front.
Here's Veil on the high ground like I was talking about. He does get up here, immediately drops down, though. We'll have to set up again if he wants to. Does take a long time to get up there. Feels like a lot of wasted shots here. Does push Viso off the high ground. As we see, this point is now being contested, but there's no way to stick on it. Flash Lux is going to have to back off, look for another high ground push, it seems to be. Veil staying on the low ground to build that ult meter first.
Toon was the first one to go down on the side of a Freak of Freaks Red, so they were lacking DPS on the long walk back from spawn. Not really going to be too consequential for now. No ults build up except for the nano boost on Kisu.
Okay, we'll see if they can actually make this happen with that nano. Drop it down to Fleta immediately here. He's just going to charge in the ground without the Graviton Surge, just doing a lot of damage. Attune in a really cool position here to look for a pick, but unfortunately immediately the D.Va comes in to lock him down. He does knock Wiso out of the suit, but Wiso did his job to stop that ult. Meanwhile, the Freaks is trying to set up, I think, with 3 down, and this is looking pretty scary, though. Veil doesn't even have to use this Deadeye. Looking for the kill onto Quartermain. Gets him, and this is already the first point, nearly done.
Yeah, they should have it here. They also have the faster respawn, so out of position completely are Freak of Freaks Red. The war of attrition goes the way of Flash Lux, and they even managed to be pretty conservative with the ultimates, all things considered. First ult used on a 50-charge Zarya. Allowed her to take down a couple of members. They traded up in kind of every single skirmish afterwards. And now they even have a tool to actually get a pretty significant push on the street space.
Yeah, it's cool to use the nano on the Zarya like that. It looks really good when it works. When it fails, it feels like a waste. But in this case, it gets them another ult afterwards. So it feels like an ult to gain an ult plus the point. So
it's kind of how we expect Orisa to be used and the Supercharger to be used when we eventually see her hit competitive play, rather than be, you know, the cherry on top, but rather be something to help build ultimates with the extra damage done. But that's still a story for a future day.
Yeah, just theory crafting for now. Rio with a good Earth Shatter this time will get 2 and blocks the counter as we do see that Graviton Surge go down. Will they have the follow-up? So far, a decent amount of damage, only 1 kill, but it's on the side of the Freaks here. Rio with a much better Earth Shatter here. going to have this defense, going to stop this first push.
It's more assertive than they expected from Rio, and also Flashlux doesn't invest anything to it. There was a counter Earthshatter coming through from Modern, but everyone else holds true. So everything lines up, but the gain you get from wiping someone as they enter this phase of Hollywood is pretty minimal. And now here's a counter Earthshatter.
This was a pretty weak attempt here from Fleta, but they do get the follow-up kill afterwards anyways. He just blind threw it in there.
Yeah, counter-Graviton Surge, my apologies, but hey, it worked out, so we can be results-orientated this time.
Exactly, the Graviton Surge, I mean, he just literally ran up and popped it down without even really looking to see who was there, but it worked out in the end because they did get that second kill with the Deadeye. So I felt like it looked a bit sloppy from our perspective there, but it worked out in the end as the push continues here.
Nice sleep dart onto Rio, so no Reinhardt shield at this particular juncture. Be up soon, though. Watching a tune for now, just free shooting in the backline on one of his most played on that McCree. And a boost onto Ty Dollar. Really finding anyone, finally picking up Kisu.
He almost has another Graviton Surge here, though. Building that up right now as best as he can. If they could push this payload back through the gateway again, if he has a Graviton Surge for that, it's such an amazing position to work from.
So we're just going to see mirror comps throughout the whole of the attacking phase for Flashlux. Still no adjustments, even though they have the much faster warback. They can surprise with something here, like, for example, the Pharah.
Payload's still rolling back. The dream again is that choke point. It's pretty unlikely it rolls back that far.
And try and take the high ground just to give them something.
Oh.
Deadeye is popped.
He's going to just wait to see if the shield is dropped, but of course it's not. It expires here. Self-destruct used. Perhaps an accident?
It looked like it was missed. It didn't even look like it forced anyone on the side for Freak of Freaks Red to back off. So it's one ultimate, as you say, is completely discounted.
Yeah, maybe trying to drop it over the wall, just didn't quite get enough acceleration to get over there. Modern has this Earth Shatter.
Oh, a second there where it could have been massive, but it's always a split-second decision. This is a big Deadeye spot.
It looks like he may even just try to break the shield with this so he can get the Earth Shatter off, but not able to make it happen because everyone's pulled back too far. Really nice defensive posturing here from the Freaks. Seeing that opportunity, Tidal really wants to drop down this Surge. There's the big Earth Shatter, so this may be his opportunity to use it defensively. He does.
Watching Tidal, he's got the nano boost on him this time, but no charge at all. Very curious use. Maybe just keeping him alive, so no gain from that nano boost.
Felt like a panic after the Shatter went down. He forced out the Sound Barrier, I suppose, but that's a much easier ult to build.
Modern's looking, needs a big Earth Shatter.
Okay, he's going to drop it down, but it's blocked here again from Rio. Rio actually really stepping up the Reinhardt play here. Fleta coming in this one much better. This time for the bigger bang. He looks for it, only gets quarter main. They're just really trying to force this, though, into the checkpoint. And it looks like with that Earth Shatter, they will. Nobody nearby here, just killing it off, pushing away. I'm going to get some split spawns here. Dala and Attune going to go down very late as they push through this doorway, closer and closer to sealing out the map.
Yeah, sloppy stuff on both sides, but eventually it swings. The pendulum swings to the side of Flashlux. They have even more time than Freak of Freaks Red. They had about 148 on the last phase. So only 20, 30 seconds more, but could be oh so consequential. Don't have to push the payload very far, as you can see. We're looking at ultimates. Flashlux even have an ult advantage in this scenario. Look at Veil!
He wins the duel.
This could be big.
He's in a good position here to get the kill from behind. Unfortunately, doesn't get it. And Rio kills Eunice at the same time. Will he get this kill onto the Ana? He does get the kill on the Navi. He's still uncontested here. Trying to break the D.Va mech. He does get knocked down. The Freak's looking to hold for now, but it's still very, very close to finishing.
Well, that was going to be the Veil solo mission to decide the map, but not to be. They have to back away. A lot invested by Flashlux, and actually a Freak of Freaks Red just winning a straight-up fight without actually having the ults. Now they have them, so they're in a pretty comfortable position, but this payload doesn't have to go far.
All they want to do is buy time for about another 40, 50 seconds, then they can try to go for the Big Bang. They're going to go for it right away, actually, not waiting for the last second here. We do see this come up a bit late. It does get 3 anyways, and this is exactly what they're looking for. It's going to force Flashlux to go for another push as Fleta gets killed here. Slight staggered respawn. The worst is Wiso, of course, who's going to have a very late respawn. How many more seconds can they get him on here?
What do you call a duo ult wiping the team and having 4 ults on top? That's having your cake, eating it too, ordering a cake for tomorrow. Everything's working for a Freak of Red, and now it needs to be just the biggest wombo here from Flashlux. Otherwise, a Freaker will be able to hold in dramatic fashion.
Wiso actually is able to build up the mech, a pretty rare circumstance here as nobody really chases him down. This is going to be make or break time right now for Flashlux. Okay, they need to get a good Earth Shatter here. It's really their only opportunity. Kisu will have the nano in just a second to force this.
Have just enough time to wait for Eunice, who is split spawn, coming back now, already here. The ult here from Atune trying to zone. We're going to get into overtime. Overtime push or bust for Flashlux.
Okay, just trying to buy some more time. There's the overtime. This is going to be so close either way. It's going to be all about this fight. Modern has the nano boost, goes for the Earth Shatter backwards here. Does knock Dollar, but there's a reverse Earth Shatter, and everybody's on the ground. Papa Smithy. Here's a big self-destruct. Going to pick up Liso here out of the mech, but he gets a counter one. Divas are traded.
Now we're seeing Vale, no pressure on him in the backline after all the shenanigans. This might actually be enough for the side of Flashlux, amazingly.
Yeah.
After they canceled out the nano boost with the Reinhardt ultimate. They're pushing 0.62 meters.
Looks like they have it. They have it. And they go on to match point here. Very well played. Definitely, as you mentioned earlier, I feel very aptly a sloppy second game here on Hollywood, as clearly tensions are high. Some of these Earth Shatters we are seeing are very off the mark.
We saw some bad Earth Shatters, don't get me wrong, but Modern's decision to turn around an Earth Shatter Zarya actually ended up winning the game for the side of Flashlux. Suddenly we saw Vale 3-hitting in the backline, no threat compared to Atune, who had already died. The space for the McCree separated the two teams, and in a game of missed Earth Shatters, the one that hits the biggest is often the one that decides it.
Yeah, the Earth Shatter that hit backwards counterwise was too late, and it felt like Atune used his Deadeye, very early there, just trying to hope for something or try to buy time, but the more valuable damage in general came out on the side of Vale, who almost had his own Deadeye there at the end. So 2-0 lead for Flashlux here. A lot of people, myself included, expected the Freaks to come out pretty dominant in this one, but so far they have disappointed us yet again.
Flashlux looking to be that team to stay in Apex against all odds. No sponsors, so many struggles, but for now, looking pretty likely to go into the winners match.
Afrika Freaks Red, the big fan favorites here though. Will they be able to turn it around? They need 3 wins in a row for the reverse sweep. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll find out if they can do it. Welcome back. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you're a Freak of Freaks Red fan, you thought this was probably going to be an easy series for them, but unfortunately it's been the opposite against them. I wouldn't say easy, but they're now down 0-2 on their last life here in the losers match. And as many times as people say this is their time, just give them some more time. Oh, they had a tough group. Excuses seem to always be made by the fans, but the Freak of Freaks Red have not delivered, despite having so much hype all the way back since Season 1 of Apex, where they didn't make it in. Everyone's like, oh, no, but they're really good. They're better than Blue. But
I mean, the hype was before. That's the thing, is that when they were MIG, the MIG squad, I believe they were MIG
Blaze, I think.
Blaze
right?
at the time, and Frost was, of course, a Freak of Blue. Ever since they went with the name change, sure, a Freak of Blue made it to the final of Apex Season 1, but that was a bit about scheduling and just a fortunate run. It was like a Freak of Red have really never got running as an organization, and no, I'm missing Luxury Watch Red at moments like this, and I think both of us kind of being able to contrast that to the level of play we've seen in this losers match compared to the winners matches, where it feels like there's pretty much a gulf between the teams we saw earlier and at least the first two maps from these two teams.
Yeah, and I think that there's a skill difference. Obviously, winners and losers, if there weren't, that would be highly unusual, but to look at this, I feel like there's a nerves factor to this as well, you know.
It's the inflexibility, I think, that's kind of sticking out like a sore thumb to me. We've seen so many interesting hero swaps throughout the course of today. Not to see one, and we do see an interesting draft, though, as the Cherry Blossoms, for once, have to stay on the shelf. And we're going to the chilly fields of Volskaya for some hijinks.
That we are. So, probably a very different map to Hanamura and also Anubis. We saw Anubis one time yesterday, but it's been almost purely Hanamura for the 2-point capture.
Not in the pool today, mention the Anubis, so
yeah,
we get the Volskaya action.
That's right, and Volskaya, a map where that second capture has been very difficult historically for most teams. There's a lot of different ways to enter the point, but the respawn time is so quick, and you have this nice little setup where you can defend and also hide behind walls easily, so it's very difficult to assault. So we'll see what styles these teams bring to us on this new patch. We're on the live patch here, and it's going to be the first time this tournament we see Volskaya Industries as the map. Can Flashlux bring it into a 3-0 victory, or will a Freak of Red come back to life in this series? Let's find out right now. Volskaya Industries. Sounds like a plant of sorts, but from the outside looking in, it just looks like a small palace. Like a very small palace, like budget palace. Car's not even that nice. Where's the limo? There's a bunch of platforms running around, but they're not making anything. They're just for bastions to sit on.
Amusingly, if you look at the trees there, they kind of look like the current status of the cherry blossoms in Korea that are now white and falling off the trees as well. They decided to run out on a reset as far as possible just to shatter some dreams.
He wants to read the Korean Twitch chat tomorrow on the VOD.
We know. We see you there, Weso.
We'll listen to English cast, and we're going to be like, we know what you're up to. We were not shocked. You didn't trick us.
One day.
Halts himself off the wall. I'm like, yeah, okay.
And honestly, we need the big Orisa performance so people can actually play Orisa in ranked, because if I learned anything from trying to play Ana on Ana release, everyone was very mad if you tried the new hero.
Yeah. My experience with Orisa was on PTR, where everyone was trying to play her.
Are people allowed to play Sombra yet, or is that Rascal only?
Sombra? I mean, I think it worked out okay for Twilight.
When it comes to competitive, though, I don't know if it's got permission from the masses yet.
I don't think so. I think it's still too soon.
Ooh, a Zenyatta. Something different.
Yeah.
Freaks Red.
By the way, speaking of, Weso is actually going to very legitimately try to pull off the Sombra here. A completely different role from him, by the way. He's normally main tank, Reinhardt, D.Va, and Winston, so he's flexing pretty hard here with this one.
This is what we want to see. Na'Vi also a dive comp with Zenyatta, so going for the kind of dive comp we've been looking for, but halted for the first push, and that should mean that with the health pack nature and the hacking available to Sombra. This could be pretty sturdy defense on point A.
Yeah, in theory, there's another hack here. Fleta just zooping around here, did get the double kill earlier. You could see a big difference, the gulf you mentioned in skill between Viso and Twilight we saw earlier. He's just not willing to openly harass. He's been using his translocator to just get on the high ground, whereas, when Twilight would be out there harassing at this exact moment in time. But the Freaks looking very weak so far, not even able to scratch the surface on this pushing. But he gets another pick from the high ground here. They're totally uncontested. Yep. As Dala just slowly builds meter.
Yeah, Toon was just kind of in no man's land, got sniped by, of all people, a high ground tracer. I don't say that very often. Into the pulse bomb pretty comfortably on the side of Flash. It's a bit difficult to approach these attacks as a Freak of Freaks because you don't want to go and feed meters. There is the EMP.
Big EMP here. He just cloaked his way in right up to the front here. Doesn't last long enough, though, to get the kill here on the Winston. We're going to see a 1-for-1 trade so far.
Very disconnected EMP. They didn't seem to capitalize it in any way compared to the practice nature of Combox earlier today. Seeing Tidal going in with the Dragon Blade.
This was
one.
Exact modus operandi here of a Freak of Freaks Red. Build the blade, make the blade work. After the EMP went down, they just got enough kills here to now take over this point. Already have the first tick. And it doesn't look like Flashlux can get onto the point with the long run back here. Should be a cap. Fleta's going to try to change things, though. Does end up going down. Just bought a little bit of time, a few more seconds. And as cool as it was to see the Sombra attempted EMP and Fleta's impressive high ground play, they couldn't deal with the Dragon Blade that rolled in. And that's, everything that you've ever expected from the Freaks. When you think about Tidal, you just think, okay, when's the Dragon Blade? When's he coming in?
But if we're going to be real about it, it looked like someone doing an impersonation of Twilight rather than a coordinated attempt at pulling off the Sombra EMP, just because they didn't even look to capitalize on it. It was basically a zoning EMP in many ways. But looking on the attack here, 3 kills already onto point 2. The snowball capture is one of the only ways you can actually finish Volskaya, which so often is held on point B. Good start so far for a Freak.
Fleta actually taken out here before you get the pulse bomb up. There's Transcendence as well as an EMP. This may be a cap. They've got the first sector anyways. Wiso just trying to buy time here. And Earthshatter does come down. Toon gets picked off. Wiso with the headshots there. The only way Sombra could get a kill. And we do see eventually a Toon does fall. If they lose anyone else, this push will end. Creed and Tidal, though, continuing this. There's another Dragon Blade available. He doesn't even need it. They're going to take this, I think.
See, there's a lot of different approaches to come in. Still no one on the point. Finally contested now.
Veil gets taken out immediately here.
And that's the cap.
Double cap here, 427. In almost unbeatable time. It's so difficult to get that second capture unless you get the double, like you just mentioned. So a Freak of Freaks had to struggle to approach point A, but they took that momentum into point B with the ults they had. Tidal especially that have carried his team through it.
And it seemed a lot like a Freak of Freaks using the playbook of their blue counterparts, farming the Dragon Blade. It looked anemic at the start. Like, okay, they don't really have a lot of imagination. The early pushes weren't really working. Got the Dragon Blade. The EMP didn't lead to anything. And then it felt like the Sombra needed to switch, or at least they needed to vary their defense on point B, because the snowball capture, like you say, having a 4-minute 30 time bank on Volskaya in competitive play and professional play, I guess you could say, is almost unprecedented.
Yeah, it's pretty rare, especially in matches that should be as even as this one. And you could even say, someone might say, well, the match isn't that even, but Freak of Freaks did just take this first double cap and are now ahead in this map significantly as a result. Now, to give Wiso some credit, I suppose, it's tough to give credit in this case. I don't feel it's necessarily even due, but
hey, you're the one that said it, man.
The weak Sombra play is, I think, reasonable considering it's not really the hero he plays. The question is, why play it? He's a tank player. He's on the Diva again. He's a Reinhardt. He's a Winston. Such a different disconnect there. You'd think Veil would be the player to play it, or perhaps even Kisu switching off, as we saw Twilight switching off of the Ana. But
I mean, you compared Luna and Twilight, right? Both Ana players who flex onto Sombra, flexing one of your main tank players onto a hero like Sombra is, definitely a very different approach.
Yeah, there's definitely a big loss when you do that in damage and in tanking as well. Removing that tank there, we didn't really talk about that in that last comp. For Flashlux here, they're going to take a similar approach, but they're not going to bring the Genji. Just going to be the Fleta Pharah, which is not unheard of on this map. Yeah, we've been seeing it over and over again. So no surprises right now. We saw it from a tune on Hollywood. We're seeing here from Fleta, who's known to be the better Pharah.
Certainly not a lot of contesting in terms of high ground play here from Fleta. No Soldier, no McCree. Assuming that the heals come through, should be living for quite a while, as so far it's been a good push for Flashlux when it comes to getting point A.
Yep. Res percentage at 44 currently, but Fleta doing a lot of damage. Weeso will soon have that self-destruct. They may commit to it here very soon. Fleta gets another kill on Daedalus before he can resuit into the mech. And there's one more. He's about to have Rocket Barrage. This is going insanely well for Flashlux right now. They may just take this off the first push if this continues. Eunice does go down as they say this.
Gotta wonder about not setting up for Pharmacy when you're a Freak of Freaks red on defense on a point where Pharah certainly can be run. Obviously Genji may be more expected, but they know their opponents here. Flashlux have their very obvious tendencies and it ends up being very comfortable. Point A take. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean too much. We've seen 7-minute plus defenses on point 2, so let's see if they can emulate a Freak of Freaks red when it comes to a first point take, or first attempt to take on point B.
They definitely didn't go all in and go for the double. They didn't have the ult they needed. I feel if they had res, they absolutely would have pushed for it, but instead they're just going to play this a little bit more conservatively. You see the boost here onto Fleta as he's looking for Barrage, unable to find the angle he wants, takes too much damage. Creed switching onto the McCree here, not a hero he plays often, but he's going to get the kill here.
Necessary with the comp as we spoke, so the change does come through. 2 for 2, not normally good for the attacking team, but you're right, the res comes through.
Dolly gets 2 kills, but the res kind of locking them up. He's going to go for the self-destruct, won't connect with anybody, and here comes the follow-up attack for Flashlux. Weeso is dead, unfortunately, though.
And died earlier with ultimate available. That was, of course, only the D-suited D.Va, so not a relevant ultimate, and the trades go the way of a Freak of Freaks red, and now certainly all bets are off.
The question is, will Fleta stay on the Pharah? He has the Rocket Barrage. Looks like he's going to stick with it for one more. Perhaps for the ult alone. Not a bad hero to approach this point. As you can see, though, with that main archway, that's really the highest you can really go up, and you're so easily targeted, you're so vulnerable in that archway.
But now the snowball capture is gone. Now this defensive setup, there's so many great angles that cannot be attacked from range when you're coming in, that the defense is so strong on this map, and you don't even have an AoE ult, like, for example, the Graviton Surge, to look for a clump. There won't be any clumps, so the value of a single ultimate is so low for Flashlux, and then the respawn advantage makes this going to be an exercise in frustration.
Yeah, definitely, because the approach is so difficult as well. Fleta's just going to try to force a nice concussive there to actually get them good positioning here. Vale going to get the pick onto Creed, so that's a start. Sound barrier comes down. This could be what they're looking for. Self-destruct is about to be ready for Weeso as well. Attune does get the nano visor here, but not a whole lot of damage. He's denied by the D.Va. Gonna pop back here for the heal. Here's that barrage we were looking for. 3 kills here, 4 for the side of Flashlux. Will this be enough?
It's only actually Creed to contest for this point. We're still waiting for the respawns to come through. Gonna be 2 ticks at minimum before the emergency comes in. There's the ice block to start things up, buying as much time as possible. And now there will be a second round of reinforcements for a Freak of Freaks red.
Okay, Pulse Bomb is here for Vale as well. Gonna recall into the back lines, trying to knock D.Va out of the suit. That would be a huge move for them.
Any picks onto Flashlux would be massive for a Freak of Freaks red. So far, none claimed.
They get the kill onto Fleta, though. Still, Rio does get knocked out of that Winston, and the push continues, but with too many kills here, Na'Vi delaying this a little bit more. It's gonna be a stopped push. They got too many picks. The run back is so long for Flashlux. It was very expensive of an attempt, and now, unfortunately for them, time is ticking down. Obviously, even if they cap it, they're going to have a worse time bank to work with here. That was their opportunity to keep it even, so I can understand why they committed so many resources, but unsuccessful.
She's switching off the switching off the Mei, despite having ultimate there. Just going back to this very standard comp to take advantage of the different chokes. Only a single control point to be ticked up, but remember, the increased respawn times are only in overtime. Not relevant, with still plenty of minutes left. 3 minutes here for Flashlux to try and find a way to take point B.
Looking for a pick here on the Na'Vi is Vale. Does not get it. Nope. Actually killed himself as Attune is continuing to do some damage. He's got the potential pulse bomb here.
Flashlock's in interesting points with their hero pulls. Fighter actually on the Genji this time is ult thrown out. It's a zoning ult in the end for Flashlocks.
Yeah, this feels very sloppy and expensive right now, what the Freaks are doing. Flashlocks is going to have a really ult-heavy push they can go with in just a moment. Only missing the self-destruct here, really. As you do see that nano boost, unfortunately, not able to connect or not able to find value.
Just used it on Fleta, trying to farm up Dragon Blade. Couldn't quite keep it. Like Dragon Blade available, but a lot of players on off rolls is interesting. The Flashlocks trying to stick the landing on point B.
I just feel like there's no coordinated pushing going on here for Flashlocks anymore. They're just trickling in one by one. Vale is always trying to look for a pick. He's been unsuccessful. I think he needs to get one first before the rest of the team jumps in behind him. He's already used recall here, unfortunately, so not going to find much. But it seems like they're still just going to try to make this happen anyways, committing everybody onto the point. But Fleta does pop the Dragon Blade, playing an unusual hero here. His Genji, not very common.
6v4 action so far. We're seeing the self-shot come in, gets no value. Ty Dollar comes back trying to occupy space. Now he's nano boosted. Looking to take one down already, so you have to think a lot of the momentum is gone from the push from Flashlocks. You can see them backing away as well. Trading evenly is disaster on the perspective of Flashlocks, and back to that timer ticking down.
Creed temporarily slept here, but nobody dies. Flashlock has to set up again. I think their best chance now in terms of composition is for Fleta to get another Dragon Blade. He's going to have to farm that. They might even have to do a little bit of an eco hit for just a second, but they don't have a lot of time to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, eco push is something you consider at 5 minutes, but when you're at a minute left, you cannot look for a push just for ult charge, which is the definition of that eco push.
He doesn't have the ability to even just come in with a sound barrier to farm it in the middle of a fight. He's at 74 now. They're trying to make this happen. 82. He's very close. He just does get picked, unfortunately, though, which is going to make this pretty unreasonable to pull off.
And will they have a 6 ult push? They're getting to 4. Feels like only 6 ults would be enough, and even then, we've seen stranger things on Volskaya Industries.
Yeah, Season 1 really good.
Yeah, good times.
Okay, Hook does get denied here. They're going to have to set up for one bigger opportunity here. They're not going to have the sound barrier with Eunice being picked earlier, but they've got everything else to work with. The longer the fight goes on, perhaps he does have it in overtime. This is going to be all on Fleta. Here we go. Dragon Blade is activated. This is his opportunity. Gets a kill on the Navi. He needs more than that, though. A good sleep here on the point. They're going to get 2. They're going to get even 3 here. This is what they needed. Pulse Bomb still available. This could be their moment.
Rio trying to back away, wants to jump back on the point to delay. Won't be able to do that. Creed has respawned. He's going to come back in on the Mei, but for now, not on the point. The meter's coming down. This should be the claim.
And they do get it. That's all they needed was a good Dragon Blade there, and they made it happen. They even capped with several more ults available. They even have to use everything. They got the kill onto Ana, Navi immediately. Onto Eunice immediately. But the push was good. The Dragon Blade got several, and Vale was just popping off.
There's going to be a very big discrepancy in Time Bank. The ability for a Freak of Freaks Red to push so quickly gives them a massive advantage. So we're going to see Flashlocks first on attack, see if they can actually claim something, because right now you got the pencil mark next to a Freak of Freaks Red, given this huge discrepancy. 5:20 to just the solitary minute ticked up by the side of Flashlocks.
Yeah, they've got a mountain to climb here. It's almost, having this round in itself almost feels like a consolation prize at this point. They fought so hard for it. It's just a tiny piece of the pie. It's gonna have to be a successful first push.
Yep. I mean,
honestly, it's impressive to me. We haven't seen too much Genji out of Fleta, but he seems quite good on the hero. And I like this adaptation on the fly here.
Yeah, Roadhog Farah definitely is most played. Is a flex player by trade, but Genji pretty far down the list for him. Probably not a coincidence the teams in this tournament are largely without main Genji players, given those seem to be the most successful, especially if you're judging it by Apex finalists.
Yeah, Huxon, who are you? Kings of this game right now.
Probably doesn't feel like a king, does Huxal, but
sadly not. But you know, Fleta's making this work. He's going to have to make it work on this first push. They're not really going to have many other opportunities. Maybe a second, but they want to just crush this first one now.
Vale probably has the most agency on his side, as he can do the most work as Tracer without ultimate. First pick comes on to Kiso, so consequential here on the side of Attune.
Oh, the pick on the Vale now as well. This almost feels failed already.
Yep.
It's going to be a long hold if they don't make this happen. Attune boosted here by Na'Vi, pushing them back. We're going to see that desperation push with no ults. Feels so bad to only have 1 minute to try to make this work. 10 seconds to go. What's the game plan here?
It's going to be Tracer or Winston getting on the point and then hoping against hope.
Yeah. Not a solid game plan, but it's all they've got. Going to have to make this work. Overtime started here. The Pharah battle ensues. Vale coming around the side, gets the pick on the Na'Vi. That's a start.
Get onto a Toon, but so far a Toon winning that war as the Pharah. Nice flicks onto the Winston, not enough to take him down. They're contesting the point at the same time, although D.Va will fall.
Too many kills on the Flash Lux already here. It's going to be difficult to even maintain that overtime. Reed, though, gets the pick, and that will stop them dead in their tracks. Afrika is still alive in this tournament. Almost an inevitable capture with their time bank left.
5 minutes 20, even longer than the original time bank. We players were given in competitive to attack back in the 5-minute attack window days.
Keep in mind, too, both teams took this first capture point very quickly. Not 1 minute quick, but very, very early on, had a large time pool to work with for the second point.
And you don't really need a solid game plan, I feel, when you have 5 minutes to capture point A on a 2-point capture. You can literally go for a 3-minute eco push, show up with 6 ultimates, and then I guess you could lose, but at this level of play, you'd be hoping it would work out. Let's see if we see Flash Lux go for the crazy, because this is where you could start the mind games, I guess, for future maps, because you are definitely hoping against hope for this particular map.
Well, it turns out Wiso is going to, well, he was going to run the Sombra. It looks like shot caller makes the shot call to pull him off of it, though. I'm going to switch back to the more standard D.Va. The Sombra play just wasn't good enough. It was not Twilight level on that defense before.
It definitely looked like an impression of Twilight or perhaps someone like Luna compared to a practice strategy, which...
He looked like a phony.
Yep.
And remember, his role is essentially main tank.
I would have said a wolf in sheep's clothing, but people would get kind of confused with you being wolf
I
and
would
all.
have been offended. I don't like it when people dress up like that.
Now we see Afrika Red going with a pretty prototypical dive comp. Sort of comp not out of place with Runaway or Lunatic High.
Okay, Flooded gets the first pick here. Good start for the defense, but it's going to be a long, long road here with 5 minutes left on the clock. Flooded actually really being the hero in terms of, his hero pool. He's played quite a few in this one.
Needs to be a one-man army to somehow propel Flash Lux to holding for 5 minutes 20 and also winning. Freaks Red, sorry.
Vale going to be on the Soldier this time, not the McCree. And this is going to be a tracerless comp. They just really want to hold this from high ground and the pick potential from Flata. And you talked about having a large pool of time. As you can see, Creed even switching to D.Va. They have so much flexibility, so much time to say, all right, let's rethink this for a second. Let's switch up our composition. Let's bring in something that gives us a little bit more front line. Switching to that D.Va, going to give them that extra absorption.
And it's the first one to die, so suddenly killing options start to go down from the side of Flash Lux.
And all is so close to getting that Dragon Blade now. Just a few more Shurikens will secure it. Modern, though, knocks Creed out of the mech. This is actually looking to be a defense here. 3 dead on the side of the Freaks. So Flash Lux is going to force them to set up once more. Another minute burned off the clock with this push. So, it feels more and more feasible all the time that they could potentially hold this. Force the tiebreak.
Let's wait and see one round of ultimates wasted from the side of Afrika Freaks Red before we start making proclamations like that. To Flash Lux's credit, though, do have 2 ultimates of their own. Vale Nina Visor soon to be available.
Okay, looking for the hook here once more is Flata. No kill secure this time. Dala has the Dragon Blade. Will he commit? He does. He dashes through. He's going to get the counter dash right across the backside here. A triple kill for the Freaks as he takes out Kisu. That's the cap. And Afrika Freaks put themselves on the scoreboard here, taking Volskaya into their hands. Their second map pick in a row, and finally they make it work.
They will not be swept in their journey to try and stay competitive in this Apex Challenges week. Interesting stuff there. Definitely some sloppy Sombra play, probably the low light of the map, and very good defense from Afrika Freaks Red, stopping Flash Lux from getting a snowball capture. But now we get the 2-point capture off the board for a while. Move back to the hybrid time.
Hybrid it is. I wonder if we'll end up seeing Hollywood once again.
We're on to Escort this time. So maybe
that's right. Sorry,
Dorado.
Dorado, that's right. Yeah, Escort, not Hybrid.
I believe it's Dorado,
Getting ahead
Watch
of
Point, Dorado, Watch Point, Gibraltar as the two options.
Those
If
are the two choices.
earlier was any indication, we've already seen Volskaya as kind of the different take onto 2-point capture. When we see our first Gibraltar.
Well, you and I were talking about it last night and this morning, how much it would be funny if we got to see it with the two of us. Not going to happen so far, though. Dorado will be the map choice, 3 for 3 in today's map pool.
Some people play Volskaya. Seems like no one plays Gibraltar.
Well, sad for Jibby.
That's never going to take. No one is ever going to call Gibraltar Jibby. No.
Someone already has.
No one.
Me.
Well, I think someone on Freak of Freaks Red had heard that joke. They look tilted.
Yeah, as are probably all of our viewers at home.
Looking for the reverse sweep here, our Freak of Freaks Red. We saw an attempted one come oh so close by Mighty AOD in our first best of 5 much earlier in the afternoon.
Well,
Freak of Freaks Red keeping the momentum high in Game 4.
Can Dala continue to carry this team with his Dragon Blades forward? Did not work out for the majority there, but that last push on Volskaya sealed the deal. Can they get the reverse sweep, or is Flash going to close this out 3-1? Let's find out on Dorado.
I get it.
Back onto killing ground that has been Dorado. Super common today in our play.
Apparently rains confetti in Dorado. I haven't visited myself, but just noticed this.
I think it needs to start raining confetti in Korea because I'm sure you know this. Whenever it starts raining in Korea, people lose their minds.
Yeah. Especially the ones that are always afraid and carry the umbrella. They're like, sure it could start raining any moment. They wear the umbrellas even when it's not raining.
No, but seriously, I've been around the world many times, and Koreans are by far the most afraid of rain.
Those types, I have a name for them. I actually call them witches, even if they're male, because they act as if when struck by water they would melt. But yeah, it's definitely. An umbrella is always carried. If you hear even the rumor, even if the weatherman says it's going to be clear for the whole week, if you hear a rumor that it's rain, you probably carry 2 umbrellas.
Oh, the double umbrella.
Twice as secure. You got one for your friend in case he forgets. You're a good guy. So, 4 flash looks on the approach. They're not going to run the Orisa. Sorry for anyone who was fooled by Modern.
Probably going to run the Widowmaker, at least for a first scout, but potentially even for some fix. It is Vale, so one of their DPS players on that Widowmaker looking for the pick. Nothing to be found.
Fleta stays on the Pharah, this time without a Mercy. Are we going to see triple heals? Vale going to go back for it. I really doubt it. It's actually just blind firing rockets in here.
That's Junkrat impression.
Yeah. And this is actually quite unique to see the Pharah without a Mercy. Not sure if he's going to stick with it or not. Just trying to have this high ground control. A tune on the Pharah as well.
No recall like Tracer, and you imagine both of them looking at different flanks to try and get some harass, incrementally take down a Freak of Freaks Red.
So the Lucio Radius nerf, it's really hard to actually have enough healing on that flying Pharah. Positioning has to be kind of a two-way street on this
Kisu could God mode it on the heals from Ana as well, but optimistic.
Yeah, well, this battle nearly goes in Fled's favor, and we do see that massive heal coming down from Kisu.
One mid-air hit on a tune.
Yep, but not the second. He's looking for it. Oh, I was going to say third time's his charm, but he is just whiffing all of them. Hits him face to face. But a triple kill already here for the Freaks, and they're going to have to reset.
We were focused on the mid-air action, but unfortunately the rest of Flashlock just died to a Freak of Freaks Red in the interim.
Also fed Rio, an Earth Shatter, Navi, the Nano. Quartermain will soon have that sound barrier. So this didn't work out too well. Interesting again, both teams with the Merciless Pharah, just for the high ground, or rather the air dominance, I would say. They're able to fire downwards onto this fountain, but
no Genji, interestingly.
Yeah. Dala's on his backup here with the Diva.
Oh,
there's the kill.
Time Fleeter does get it. He has missile barrage, and for now, no one targeting him. Considering his options, there we see it. Onto the Electric Cowboy, takes him out. Cancels out 2 ultimates in that particular trade. This could be a big push for Flashlux.
That was very Rascal-esque what we saw there, just to challenge the ult. Vale going to get the kill here onto Quartermain as well. This is actually starting to look like a really strong push, perhaps even checkpoint gating. Self-destruct going down here. and a feeble attempt to defend. Unfortunately, not even close, as Vale picks up another kill here onto Rio. That will be the first checkpoint, going over to Flashlux very early on.
And a beast mode play from Fleeta, who we've complimented on his Pharah multiple times. The only question mark was the Mercy, and this time no Mercy. No problem for Fleeta. Canceling out the whole Electric Cowboy. It seems like there was no idea from the side of a Freak of Freaks Red that he was coming in.
When you see that barrage go on to Creed, the words that come to mind are no mercy. Certainly showed none. Vale's going to look for a pulse bomb here. There's already built up another one as Flashlux had a very ult-efficient push coming forward. Just harassing Attune. He's up there alone, just getting the heals. You can see the heals coming up from the Ana. Sound Barrier does catch him. This is a feeble attempt to knock him out of the sky. We're going to see the attempt here onto Creed. Doesn't actually get the kill, but still a triple for Flashlux with the extra damage he provided. But has another Rocket Barrage, but doesn't need it. And they're halfway pushed to the second checkpoint.
Making us believers of the merciless Pharah comp, at least on the side of Flashlux. Attune is kind of being the one trusted to compete with him, and so far Attune has been second best. It's definitely a peripheral champion for him compared to Fleeta on his main on that Pharah as he looks for another launching spot.
Just historically, that's how it's been. But it does get hit by several Ana shots. Would have been dead otherwise on the old patch. Dies anyways. Viso does get one self-destruct kill as they push this as far as they can. Attune may be picked before another barrage goes off. That is the case. And it almost feels like it's time for him to switch off this. He's not getting the value that Fleta is. It doesn't feel worth it anymore.
Attune is a great McCree himself. That might be a consideration for him. More and more kills coming in, and Attune is going to come. Sorry, we're going to see Fleta come back from respawns. This is probably going to be second point capture here. Good time being kept by Flashlux on the attack on the map they chose, although last second contest.
I mean, how long can Attune really hold on to this barrage? He does it, sends it upwards. It ends up being a trade here between the Pharahs. A barrage for a barrage, a kill for a kill here, Hanarabi style, as they continue to push this, trying to get that checkpoint 1.78 meters away. As Vale is the king of the ground right now with his teammates.
One of the unsung heroes for sure on it with his Tracer play. Tracer duties kind of shared between both DPSs, but they are going to be charged out eventually. We'll have to have new formation here, Flashlux, and they used a lot to not quite push the point. The second point here, 1.8 meters, just ticking up now for Flashlux to finish point B.
Feel relieved to see Attune switch off of the Pharah now, though. He first went into the Tracer, now going to go into the Soldier. That's going to help him control this defensive high ground, but also deal with Fleta, who's been pretty unchallenged in the skies this entire time. McCree a little bit tougher to pull off here. Well, the Soldier a good choice. Fleta's looping around the backside right now.
Fleta had a look at the beach down there and thought longingly for a second, but probably has to get back to the battlefield.
Get back to the battle. Take your vacation once you get to the Apex.
It's late at night as well. It's pretty cold to go to the beach.
Yeah, honestly.
Comes around the side. Doesn't have the missile barrage this time as Rio takes out Eunice, so no Lucio here for the side of Flashlux.
Not going to be a diva either. Oh, I spoke too soon. Lisa survives with about 2% health, but it's going to have to be another setup here for the push. They're not going to make this one work anymore.
They've pretty much stuck to their guns, have Flashlux, and suddenly what was looking like a good push timing stalled at the last, and now potentially being held before capturing point 2. They have soon to be the nano boost coming through from Ana. Switch over to the Diva for Wiso.
Eunice is going to have Sound Barrier in just a moment here, but there's just not a whole lot they can use with it. They're just really hoping they're getting picks, and then the cleanup is going to come in from Vale. He's really going to be the guy who's looking for the DPS, the big kills, the double, the triple, with all the damage Fleta's putting off, but it's not successful this time as they push in. Pulse Bomb goes down with that Sound Barrier, but he doesn't secure the kill he's looking for. Fleta will have one barrage here, very likely. 2 more rockets to get it.
See already the timeout of the Zenyatta ultimate. Waiting to see if Fleta actually throws out the ult. Attune's already taken down one. Trade comes through, Missile Barrage takes out Attune, but it seems like the numbers advantage still exists for Freak of Freaks Red, but so close.
2 for 2, 3 for 3. Flashlux loses a 4th, though. Vale's too low to come, and the self-destruct gonna push everyone off here. Down ticks that timer, can't get back on the point, Ken Modern, and that's gonna be the hold here. Very close call, though. This wasn't the push they were looking for. They were so close, I believe 1.78 meters away from that second checkpoint. Who knows what could have happened there. But the switch of Attune off the Pharah definitely doing much better for them.
Yeah, the discipline stuff from the side of Freak of Freaks Red, who have been this pro team for a long time, finally actually allows them to have a pretty reliable defense, and now they're going to be pretty heavy favorites, not the largest amount of meters to be claimed on the payload here. As we load into their attacking phase, Freak of Freaks Red, start saying that reverse sweep word, because this is definitely manageable for them to keep everything even.
Definitely. And they're going to be, I feel like a Freak of Freaks is always a better attacking team with this very compact, well-practiced, almost obvious, and perhaps used too often, Genji comp with Dala on it every time. It works well for them, even if it's predictable. They consistently make it work. So I feel like, with the weak push of Flash Lux, like you said, the favorites, I would say, for Dorado now, barring any big mistakes or incredible play from Flash Lux, who sets up without actually the Roadhog on the high ground. Going to have Fleta on the Zarya once more.
Vale this time on the McCree on the defensive side. Fleta on the Zarya this time. Not going to be seeing any defensive Pharah like we saw come through from Attune in Flash Lux's attacking round.
Interesting that we're going to have the Pharah once more for Attune on the attack here. I just feel like he's better attuned, no pun intended, to other heroes like even...
You meant that pun.
I didn't, I swear. I did. For the Tracer. But he's going to bring in the Pharah once more. Already Vale having somewhat of a better answer with that long-range hit scan.
Triple
Attune's
DPS.
Actually sneaking around here to go for the big knockoff, it appears.
Triple DPS here from a Freak of Freaks Red, going against their 2-2-2 dive comp history.
He's just going to go around the backside right now. As high ground was given up long ago. So you got to get some extra damage. He's very low, in fact.
Nice
Vale
reflect.
caught.
It was a nice reflect on
Dala getting that reflect, yeah, as you mentioned, but does go down regardless. Vale barely survives. Attune is getting minimal value right now.
Go to zone and get a bit of space, though. Don't see the card's
There
progress, but nice backline threat here from Attune, taking down Fleta.
It was discorded. Now the discord goes on to Rio, or excuse me, on to Modern. Does get picked off, and this push looks strong. It looked weak to start. Everything started connecting one by one. The dots, as we see another quick cap here. They don't have much further to go. I know they didn't quite get the second checkpoint Flash Lux, but that's basically where they're going to. So about that similar distance.
And the place where they halted it, though, was where there is a pretty big defensive high ground advantage for Flash Lux, but there is also certainly the chance they just get brute force down as we see the high ground defense set up by Flash Lux. They want at least two different junctures to fight over the payload, given there's still 5 minutes of time left for Freak of Freaks Red to claim it.
Yeah, Attune coming in here, trying to get that aggressive charge up here. The Transcendent's going to protect him. He now has the barrage. Doesn't need it to push this one off. The Discord Orbs helping secure multiple kills. This push feels free at this point. There's no challenging coming up from Flash Lux. They don't even have any ults right now. They're just going to swing around this corner on the Streets phase. Several ults available. Dala holding on to that blade. They don't have Transcendence, but I mean, this almost feels like the game's over already. Flash Lux with no contention.
And it's also the Freak of Freaks Red that, we only often hear myths and whispers about. Great ult conservation, only using the Transcendence to get this first big push, and then they win another fight and this game's over.
Absolutely. They have so many opportunities to make this happen. With no defensive ulti, Iso so close to that self-destruct. It's one that they really, really need here. Dala looking to be about to pop this blade. He's actually got that Tesla gun on him from behind. The Winston does survive, so he's ready for this at any moment here. Attune also with the barrage. Okay, here comes Dala already with a double. This could just be it. There's the barrage to secure a third. As all that's left really is Wiso. Does drop out the self-destruct. Finally, he does have that. Doesn't get any kills.
No one contesting the payload right now. The respawn's not going to be enough. It's only the Ana to try and contest, and this should just be it.
High noon, too late. It's actually about 8:39 p.m. as it turns out. So, I feel like I've seen this before. When a Freak of Freaks is on attack, they get even a little bit of momentum, and it just ends up being a Dala Dragon Blade into that's it, GG. we are going to a Game 5 as a Freak of Freaks will take Dorado.
But I mean, if you were in a Freak of Freaks fan, it's a feels good man moment with the push. They were very good with the Zenyatta. They were consistently taking down the target with the Discord, or again, looked like the high tier team they've always been rumored to be, but never actually produced the results to be evaluated as, and now they have all the momentum. We said the same thing about Mighty AOD in our first match of the night, but Flashlucks had it all together for the first 2 maps, and suddenly kind of have had it all. The rug pulled out from under them in many ways.
Would have to agree with you. So, the momentum totally in the court of the Freaks now, but Flashlucks will have one last map pick as we go into our second hybrid map.
Could be Eichenwald this time.
Could be.
Be our first Eichenwald of the night. I believe it's Eichenwald and, let's think hard. We're going to see it in a moment. Biting off too much in this particular case.
I want to say Hollywood, right?
We had Hollywood earlier.
I think it's in both, is it not? Well, we'll find out in a second.
Can't have it twice in the same round, so not going to be Hollywood. Waiting to see that final pick, though, to see who will be progressing forward. Of course, no one eliminated in this match, but you start feeling that sinking feeling if you go 0-2.
All right, let's check out these maps. That's right, it was eliminated, obviously.
Eichenwald and Numbani. Numbani has been the choice previously. And Numbani will be the choice for map 5.
Okay. Well, the dive-heavy style for the Freaks is going to be really good for them on attack.
They just run what they did on Dorado. I think they're going to be very much the inside track to picking up at least point A.
I'm hoping we don't see any Sombra attempts this time for Flashlucks. I think they need to tighten it up. No room to mess around and experiment anymore.
Sombra came out and the losses started for Flashlucks. They were looking so damn coordinated before that point, and then one Sombra pick later, and it's all kind of come crushing apart.
Definitely not what they wanted. But now a Freak of Freaks with renewed life in this series. Momentum in their court. They have to play on their opponent's map choice, but it suits their style on attack. This loser's match all comes down to a Game 5 on Numbani. Will it be Flashlucks or Freak of Red? Man, I'm struggling with these intros today, Papa. Taking this best of 5, let's find out right now.
I get it.
Numbani, the 5th and final map for these two teams. And it was it's going to be a tight closeout here, is what I'm trying to struggle to say, as my voice is dying here in our third best of 5. We had a best of 5 go the full 5 games earlier with Mighty and X6. This time looking for the reverse sweep. Didn't happen for Mighty AOD. We'll see if it happens here for the Freaks, as Flashlucks is going to have to tighten up their play. Flutta being the more impressive Pharah so far, and he looks to be running it here on the attack once more. Not going to be with the Soldier, nothing crazy like the triple DPS we saw earlier from X6.
We'll be seeing a Soldier on the side of a Freak of Freaks Red, of course, a staple of Numbani in and out of meta. Harry Hook flexing from Lucio to Soldier. Once a thing on this particular map. Expect some sort of dive whenever it's Numbani point A. As we can see from Flashlucks, the other approach you can take, we've certainly seen Pharmacy and the Tracer have success on point A of Numbani. First attack always so critical. See if Fleta can channel some of his great Pharah play from earlier this series.
Trying to channel it. Vale looking for the sneak play. Spotted immediately here by Dala, unfortunately. Just going to have to build some meter and get out if he can. He'll have to use the recall. Gets back behind, but a perfect hook. Unfortunately blocked there, it looks like by the Diva shield. The defense matrix saving Vale, despite the crazy amazing hook there.
Forced back away, 1-for-1 so far, but crucially, it's Kisu that goes down on the side of Flashlucks, this time back on the Mercy.
Which means Fleta doesn't have any protection, he dies as well, and they will have to set up for another push. Kisu builds 41% for that res potential. Vale will also have the Pulse Bomb. did a lot of harassment last time, but perhaps the pulse bomb will get them the pick they need to start the fight their way.
Need to find a way to try and harass Attune down from the high ground. If he's just allowed to free hit his way into a tactical and hell, maybe even a nano visor, does answer a lot of the questions that Flashlock's are posing. No Genji to stop that, so it kind of falls on Vale to be the one to harass the soldier off the high ground. That's what he's looking for.
That's what he's looking for here. Doesn't find the soldier. He's already jumped down, now just attacking from that high ground on the Tracer with left clicks here. Getting the kill onto Creed already, not having to use the pulse bomb. This could snowball. There's the pulse bomb attempt with the self-destruct. They pick up 2 here without losing any. A 3rd kill onto Dalla means this is almost certainly a secured cap for Flashlock.
Visor used, but for no gain whatsoever. No way to get back on the point with just Ana and Soldier. So they actually managed what they needed to do. They got the Soldier off high ground. The Soldier disengaged. Feels like the tank line didn't get the memo, stayed too long, and then Nano Visor counted for nothing. Flashlucks get a very decent push out of that particular situation.
Gonna have the barrage very soon, and the res. So there's so much to do with this first push. They're so flexible with this large time bank that even if that fails, they can just switch off, alter their composition, as Attune is having a pretty weak performance so far on this soldier. Wasted visor especially painful, as you just mentioned.
Really hard to work out who to criticize in that particular scenario, though, given the tank line seems disconnected from the DPS. Could be a modicum of different factors. We see a couple of kills to the side of Freaks Red.
They're going to be 3, in fact, this time. But here's the res, and they're going to continue the attack. They needed to use this res anyways before they switch. We'll see if they can find value here. They have another self-destruct. Viso may just drop it down here to get this around the corner.
Get rid of the Winston Primal Rage. That's still a mini victory in many ways, as Flashlock's want to get through the streets phase of Numbani.
Not actually even going to use... Okay, as soon as I say it, they do use it right into that choke point. Not going to secure any kills with it, obviously, but he's going to continue to push this forward. Sound barrier coming up as well. They want to force this to work. Attune pops the tack visor once more. Totally worthless here.
Really to be taking down any members of that particular ability.
Missing so many shots here as well with a weak spread there. And it's just uncharacteristic bad aim because he's normally so great on the soldier.
I mean, definitely the evaluation of a Freaks Red has been Attune and the rest, but doesn't feel like that's necessarily been reflected in this particular best of 5. He's been second best in a lot of the Pharah battles as well.
You can feel the frustration as he switches here onto the McCree. He wasn't having much luck in the accuracy department on Soldier, and it's surprising we even have this pharmacy this late onto this point, but they've been able to consistently build these ults over and over again with these strong pushes. So if it's not broken, don't fix it.
This will be the tactic taken by Flashlucks, who really want to stop the reverse sweep coming through from a Freaks Red. Already seen some impressive pushes from a Freaks Red. It's not their defense that we've been praising. Flashlock's looking for a missile barrage. This is getting to interesting territory. I don't know about the 1v1 here as Roadhog just able to take a breather.
Just gonna take a little rest. Ooh, there's a nice hook. Misses the follow-up kill though. That was a bit weird, and Flashlock's getting the good exchange out of that one. Res still available, and this is looking to be a full push early on. 3:30 left on the clock. Vale looking for a pulse bomb to secure it. Dalla actually has a self-destruct he can use. There's the kill on the Navi. He's going to have to use that self-destruct to buy time here. Creed as well. With that whole hog, they have some tools here to use. Another Earthshatter, just waiting for the res. Gisu is going to pop in for the double. Needs to get in range.
Only got the single res, wasn't the double res. On the side of Flashlucks.
Actually, looks like it's not going to be enough. They may finally switch out of this composition.
0.45 meters, all that needs to be pushed, but still. No completion of Numbani. Would have been around 3 minutes, would have been a very, very good time set by Flashlucks, but they have to reset, and they will be persisting with their roles. Only the Wiso moving on to the Diva.
Yeah, just gonna stick with the pharmacy anyways. As they, oh, as I say it, here's the swap. Okay, I'm gonna move into Zarya for a bigger combo. The extra time they have with that really strong push gives them the flexibility to make
this is definitely basically them saying, let's complete the map, rather than them saying, let's get a great time. You know, they were 50% on both those ult charges, but just like any point B or final point, there is a big defender's advantage. Something like the Graviton Surge can be so damn critical.
Absolutely, can really turn things in your favor if you get that big 4-man. Sometimes even a 3-man good enough. This player is just desperately trying to aggressively come in here and build this up with 2 on the clock.
Nice shield up to 90% charge, running in a tune.
Yeah, it's going to force the sound barrier to be popped here way early for the Freaks. So despite this being an unsuccessful push, they build ult meter and they force that defensive sound barrier. So I feel this is a win for Flash looks just the same.
Yeah, true eco push in the original sense of the word, just looking for conservation, getting ult charge, and then coming back with 4 to 5, maybe even 6 ultimates, specifically if Modern can get up.
But in the Freaks' defense, they only use the sound barrier.
Yep.
Pretty conservative on their way of counteracting this. So they still have a lot of ults available. It's going to be an ult fest, perhaps even 12 available when this final push hits.
What happens when 12 people shoot their ultimate out, Wolf?
We're about to find out. The world ends, and
I hope the servers stay up. That's all I ask.
Someone moves on to that final consolation match. That's what's going to happen at the end of it all. Okay, here comes a big Earth Shatter.
Diva. That's all.
Yeah, he commits it though. Wanted more than that.
Vader up to 95% on the ultimate, 50 charge as well. There's the use of the ultimate. There's the Graviton Surge. Are they going to capitalize over just a single kill and actually take it out by the self-destruct by Ty Dollar?
Yeah, Dollar gets in great position to get the double there, despite Vale getting that pick. Flashlights once again has to reset. And this time they're not going to have many tools. They'll have the Earth Shatter and the Self-Destruct. Perhaps they can pair that for the win. Nothing else really going to be available. They'll have Sound Barrier, but they won't have the Nano Boost.
There's a single ult on the map right now, and that is going to be the Self-Destruct. Very close from the side of the Reinhardt on Flashlights. Modern has his soon.
The issue is with the quick respawns, they definitely need a big amount of kills, 3 or 4, to make this work with only a few ults. Okay, here comes the Self-Destruct, and they actually just force everyone away, but no kills. That's the problem here. Modern already hooked in.
Desperate to find enough charge to get off the ult. Can't get there. Dies at 98% on that meter. It looks like it's going to be frustration for Flashlux when it comes to the completion. No pressure on a tune on his trademark McCree, and we're looking for the end of this fight. And he picks the way. That's 2 for Flashlux. It's the start of something, but we're in overtime.
They need more. They need about 2 more picks. When Attune gets a kill, every kill on defense during overtime is so huge with the long run back. Okay, Vale here, scooping around, does have now the ability to use this. There's an Earth Shatter to try to pair with it, with the charge, but that is not even going to get the kill onto Diva. Self-Destruct goes down here as Attune now counterwise drops that Deadeye, looking for the kill. Blocked here, unfortunately.
Eunice goes very low there, but isn't taken out by the Deadeye. No one can leave the cart. True 6v6 on both sides.
Another whipped self-destruct here. Rio drops down that Earth Shatter, looking for the charge. Actually goes all the way past here. Could find himself picked off. Just need to get more kills, and they're losing members left and right. Vale going down here, a big problem. There's another double kill for the Freaks. And this is just ticking away. It looks like that's going to be it. They will have the defense stopping the completion here. And it was unfortunate that when they were put at wit's end, they had to make that tough decision to switch the pharmacy away despite having half ults. They were able to get a strong ult setup when it mattered most there at the end. And you really do need to get 3 or 4 kills to start that snowball effect to actually have the completion on this map. Because if you can only get 1, it really won't ever get you the completion because everyone just respawns so quickly. They come up with those fast, slippery ults, or slippery characters, heroes, and just continue to deny over and over and over again. 1 kill on the defense is worth 3 on the offense, really, in this scenario. So you need those ults, you need some sort of combo. They couldn't make it work.
He starts to track back. When did Flashlux look best in this series? Feels like a while now, obviously, as they won the first 2 sets of this particular match. But it was with the Pharah, and when they move away from Pharah, they don't really seem to have the best ideas of how to force, how to close. Well, they actually even look for a defensive Pharah here. Not expected to be one on the point A Numbani defense. It's going to be a lot more standard from them, but Flita needs to have a big performance on the Roadhog. It needs something different, and it looks like Eunice is going to be the one rolling the dice. There's going to be Torbjorn on defense on Numbani.
Eunice played Torbjorn on Hanamura, if I'm not mistaken, in one of his Apex matches. The name and it sounds familiar to me, I feel like, in terms of when I was thinking of Torbjorn research going into this tournament.
What does your Torbjorn research tell you?
Well, so far it's not very good. But I remember, I think he tried it twice on Hanamura and failed. Either way, he's going to try to make it work here. This is a very real attempt up on this back dip on the second floor.
Looks like Afrika Red won't be going for the Zenyatta. That's been one of the new tools today. They'd never run Zenyatta to any degree in previous days, so seeing Zenyatta for a dive comp is always a very important part, but they're going to just stick with the pharmacy first, and Ty kind of on his lonesome in the front line. No nano boost either for Afrika Red. See if Atune can deal with the turret. Farah, one of the more reliable people to snipe away that Torbjorn turret.
This seems like a pretty good setup with the turret. It's not very vulnerable. It's going to force a big commitment here. The scariest part of every Freaks push, of course, is when the Dragon Blade comes out. That's why Dala is so good. That's why they have so much success. Turret already being taken out here by Atune with his boosted rockets.
He's free hitting from just the other side and no one there to answer him. A lot of short-range damage and threat from Flash Lux.
Vale needs to get on target here in order to knock him out of the sky. Eunice loses his second turret here before he can really upgrade it and get it into better position. A big concussive comes out as well, and this is just forcing everyone off the point. Flash Lux has lost control here. They're going to have to take it back. 2 ticks already for the side of the Freaks.
Trade there is a trade up for Afrika on attack. Have 2 for 1 in this particular case. And see, Ty has the Dragon Blade. It's not even forced to use it, so being able to drop down, having position and getting the ticks early means this first push is going to be super successful. And you have to say that Farah ended up being a really big weapon for the side of Afrika Red, as there was no one closing the distance onto Atune.
Dealing with the turret repeatedly, and now they have so many tools with the Dragon Blade, the Resurrect, Barrage almost ready. And this was just an insanely efficient exchange for the Freaks, and this is what they're known for. This is what they're best at. Their defense is okay, but their attack is stellar, as Atune's going to sneak around here.
Yeah, really nice flanking play there as we're watching Ty in the thick of it, waiting for the Farah to become involved. Fallen low already, no value from the Dragon Blade. In fact, loses out on the trade, 3 for 0.
But here's the res. Atune does have, again, that barrage. Really drop it out here. The self-destruct comes down instead. It's going to be Weezer just using this to push them back. A lot of time bought here for Flash Lux, but expensive. And ults used, the nano boost and the self-destruct.
Getting Na'Vi on the back end, though, is a big win for Flash Lux to try and slow down the push. We mentioned Atune. He had a really nice flanking position, but ended up not being able to find the barrage and died. And now Na'Vi does switch over to the Zenyatta that we were expecting at some point on this map. Suits those Genji dive comps so well. Atune finally finds space for the missile barrage. There it is. Now to try and get rid of the front line, which does kill. Modern does go down.
Okay, looking for more. Atune so successful so far on this Farah. All he gets another kill here after he switched to the D.Va. All he needed was 1 blade, and he's ready to switch. We'll probably see him switch back for the final push, potentially here. As they go around this corner, Vale eating a lot of damage, has to retreat. And Flash Lux just kind of getting pushed back here and having to even reset up on the defense as they were cut apart there, split into different directions. Part of that due to the
big hook.
Nicely done.
Onto a D.Va though, so be a very incremental advantage. They're trying to push forward. Last second contest on the street space.
Going to be a double here on the defense. Without ults, Vale's about to have that visor, but he's going to perhaps go down here. They do pop that important sound barrier to make sure they can keep him alive. I don't think it actually hit him, but he survives regardless. He wants to use this visor now that D.Va's pushed out of the picture. Gets the kill onto Creed, looking for the kill onto Rio as well. And it forces him back at the very least, which is a win in my book. Not getting the kill, but still accomplishing what he wanted.
Sound barrier usage for Eunice is right at the correct time. Multiple members around 20 to 30 health. Kept up, also in that small, concise AoE, healed up, basically to full during the duration of the sound barrier, so everyone can back away. It's what they wanted, but like you say, the investment was brick. Only Fleeta can maybe try and stagger this attack with a opportune pulse bomb, because nothing else is anywhere close for Flash Lux.
Yeah. Okay, Fleta has this pulse bomb. He's going to try to look to disjoint this push as he's about to get the checkpoint. Self-destruct just tossed in here, fairly willy-nilly, I'd say, by Ty. Perhaps he wants to switch back to the Genji or something, because that was not really coordinated, but we do see a sound barrier coming down for them on the attack now, looking for something.
Using a turn, needs to be hitting these shots. Ooh. Does get Lucio.
Can he get the Tracer? So far, no cigar. Does get taken out before he gets that dead eye, and this push is stopped in its tracks for now. Flash looks looking to stop this here before they even get the checkpoint. But Gareth and Teetham a win straight up.
So close to the completion where Flash Lux are now. It's only a Freaks Red striving to get the second point. Still a long way to go from their perspective. They've been really good at those last second holds.
Imagine how strong this next push would be if they had to self-destruct with it. Dala just threw it in there. But I expected him to switch to the Genji with how he used that so aggressively, but no, just sticking with it. He's up to 50% now.
Nanovisor is certainly expected to be a big delay. We haven't seen any of these ults used yet from Flash Lux. Primal Rage, use my modern. We're tracking a tune, dealing with the Angry Ape.
Okay, here comes the attack visor. A little bit later after the nano boost, but he's still going to get most of the value from it. D.Va knocked out of the suit here. See you later, Tidala. And this is going to be another stop here on the push of a Freak of Freaks Red. Rio, if he goes down, it's going to be a late respawn. Not to mention, of course, you know, how far back they were pushed. Creed will survive.
They've got nothing as well, Wolf.
Yeah.
They've got no ults. Maybe going to be a sound barrier at the last, but no more than that. This has been a valiant defense on this particular stretch of Numbani. For Flash Lux, looking to actually stave off once again the reverse sweep. We've seen 2 answered reverse sweeps. Unless we see a Freak of Freaks Red find a way, and it's going to have to be a big pick. I think Creed has to be the MVP here if they're going to be able to push. Going to take the high ground.
Okay, this is going to be their last chance. Dala can't carry with a Dragon Blade this time. He's going to have to make it work on the D.Va. Creed takes a breather. Now he's got the whole hog. Will he just dive in and go for it? He's going to go for the hook here first. He's nanoed, so it's the nano hog coming down to try to secure them this last bit of push that they need. They get the kill onto Kisu. Vale, not with attack visor yet. Sound barrier comes down. Dala still has the self-destruct. They're pushing this in. They're pushing this in.
So they finally got the tonic to pick up this second point. It still has to be more after that visor used, but only a single kill on the side of Vale. There is the push through. A minute and a half to basically fully push. And they've invested a lot of ultimates. Happy news for them is they have one up, back up on Rio, and Attune will have the pulse bomb soon as well.
Happier news is they're not just straight eliminated here. That was a close call. Attune's going to look for the pick. Dala's still sticking with the D.Va. They're not going to try to go for one last-ditch nano blade. They're not going to be the one-trick Genji this time. Here's a huge commitment, actually.
They take out Vale first. He was the only person who could really nano boost on the side, so Kisu's ult not going to be the highest value. Dies with ultimate as well. Is this going to be the snowball push that allow Freak of Freaks Red to complete the reverse sweep? Nice hook. Goodbye, Fleeta.
Okay, they need to continue the snowball. They've got four kills here. Make it 5. They need to stagger these spawns as best as they can. Flash Lux should be patient. There's still quite a few meters left to push. They need to get everybody up all at once to start this delay. They need to come out, and they need to come out strong.
Out.
They need to get out there. Vale gets on it at the last second. Big charge into both. The nano boost actually partially wasted because of this.
Second contest from Flash Lux. Fleeta dies with ultimate up again.
Every kill is worth way more for Flash Lux right now on this defense as we get close to overtime. Weezy wants to hold on to that self-destruct as long as he can.
Odin has the ult. There is
great Earth Shatter here.
Yeah, uses it there. See the actual ult just used onto Attune to have some sort of threat. We also have the sound barrier being used though. And those staggerings is going to really cost them just 2 meters to push. A counter there with the Earth Shatter. Single pick come up. Iceblock actually out of the AoE, needs to get back onto the map.
Okay, here comes that self-destruct. They saved it for so long, but it's well blocked here by Rio. This is the last chance here for Freaks, but already 2 dead. Those respawns going to take so long to come back. Dala gets a kill, but they need more. Riso still at full health, delaying so long here. Fleta's going to come back. He's got the pulse bomb. Vale's still alive here as well. They can't lose anybody now. They cannot lose anybody. They need to make this work this time.
Really big boop on Creed. Now he's actually at max range with the whole hogs. Doesn't get a lot of value out of it. 2 picks though for Flash Lux.
Okay, here comes the sound barrier. This could be it. This could be it. The rest of the members of Flash Lux trickling out slowly but steadily. The triple kill for Ball! That's what they needed to defend this, and that is game over. Flash Lux, with Fleta's last triple kill, will secure the defense. What a game.
Felt like 2-point capture at the last, but the triple and also the headshot to end it there. Really nice Tracer mechanics allow Flash Lux to win. Now remember, they do not win their spot into Apex just yet, but they are knocking on the door. They still have the double chance, and Flash Lux, the team that is always around the bottom, but crucially all in Apex, is set up to get into Apex Season 3.
Indeed. And it's just so rough right now to be a fan of the Freaker Freaks Red. Look at the face here of Creed, the new member.
Shattered. The boop was so big on him, was basically going to push everyone off the cut, which might have meant the 2 meters to close out the map. It was booped away. We wondered if we would see a Lucio change be massive, and I gotta say, that boop was very large in distance. That stopped the whole hog from being relevant.
That it did, and look, this result, unexpected, kind of an upset. It wasn't an easy one. It started off with a 2-0. Freaker Freaks nearly with the comeback there, but I worry for this organization for its future because there was so much hype behind them, so much pressure on them. They underperform here yet again. They have one last chance, but it doesn't seem likely we'll be seeing this team in Season 3 of Apex.
Not with a performance like that. 0-2 for their 2 matches so far in Super Week. Another defeat for them, and that will be their last. Flash Lux set up to succeed. They'll feel good. It was definitely against expectation, but at the end of the day, 5 maps, not a lot to separate the 2 teams.
I have to say, I feel like, Attune's accuracy slightly off tonight, and Dala's inability to flex really, really hurting them here. Playing literally only the Genji and D.Va, refusing to switch back to the Genji, which worked for them so well on attack previously on their attack run. Just sticking with the D.Va only, prioritizing the self-destruct, which never really got very many kills.
But we think about some of the things we've said about both the teams here in the losers match, and we have to remember they have to face the likes of Mighty